Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Jez7780. What grinds my gears? Episode 46. Xbox exec pissing at everyone's cornflakes and a year in review. And I invited a good friend and colleague from Planet Xbox, Frogs, formerly from Planet Xbox. He'll be jumping on in a little bit. But yeah, I was just making my coffee, scrolling through the Twitter streets. And, but just to go right into it, man. Ibarra is just like on a roll this last week or so. I don't know if he's drinking too much eggnog, but he's just trolling the world. But man, he is he just commenting on Twitter, just sparking up conversation and having people go crazy. And and then it eventually came to, hold on, I'm just gonna fix this screen here. I want to make sure I had this topic. What's up, man? How you doing, Daniel? How you doing, man? I popped this out, and I'm trying not to lose my voice this time. I tell you, like the last time my voice has been hoarse for the last like 3 days, and now it's like it's coming back. And don't you think it's like, hey, I gotta talk about something, and let me jump back on this friggin' this YouTube and potentially like lose my voice, get hoarse again, because these grinds my gears. I'm gonna try not to keep it as long as what it is, but I definitely want to talk about the year in review, not go over my best and favorite. I did that already on the other thing, but talk about like some of the experiences. And if you're I had some cool experiences with all the consoles, definitely, but my most amazing ones like that I had this year were pretty much actually they've been all over the place, but what I wanted to talk about the first thing was is Jabbar's tweets. And I know there's been a lot of YouTube comments and things going on about his first initial tweet, which was his interaction with a store clerk where he was wearing his Xbox shirt. Jabbar was wearing his Xbox shirt. Now, Mike Jabbar, if you don't know him, I don't know how you don't know him, but he is an Xbox executive that works primarily as a corporate vice president that works under Phil Spencer, and he works for the Mixer platform, which is their game streaming service that's on PC and Xbox. And I started following him back when he used to just drop game codes. Like his thing when he first was getting. I got recognition from I was recognizing who he was I just started following him because of he would just drop like codes, and I'm like, yo, let's follow this guy because all he does is just drops game codes in his tweet, and you'll get free games and stuff like that. Like he's like code dropping in a few minutes, like, so I would follow him, and that's why I started following him, was to get the free game codes that he would drop, and then eventually. As we're following a lot of executives, they use it for other commentary and things like that. And then from that, he started, he would talk, he hyped up PUBG a lot. He played it all the time, but he's primarily a PC gamer. He plays everything on PC. Majority, all his photographs and, everything he talks about was PUBG. And I think he might be one of the big reasons why Microsoft might have sought out PUBG, because he played it like religiously all over his feed. So he's primarily a PC gamer and not necessarily he plays on Xbox. I'm sure he plays on Xbox. Then even his comment, I saw people brought up too that he he basically was saying like, oh, I did pretty well on my achievements for this year, even though I primarily play on PC. But we know that those go. Hey, what's up, Frogs? How you doing?
What is up, man? What is up?
Yo, how was your holidays? Good?
Yeah, it's been pretty good, man. It's been out and busy and about. I finally got some time to relax. I'm not going out the house anymore until the New Year's party. So it's been pretty good. Yeah.
You've been like all over the place.
Oh my gosh, man. It's been crazy. Between going to Orlando and then coming back. Now, did a little bit of shopping yesterday just for the end of the year, and so I'm done. I said I'm done. I'm sitting down. I picked up a couple of games. I actually picked up a good amount of games this year. I picked up all the games basically that I thought would go on sale, like Tomb Raider and all that.
I know.
Assassin's Creed. I just picked them up digitally.
I know. I got Assassin's Creed too. I can't believe how quickly. That was another thing. Like, I can't believe how quickly these games dropped in prices. Like, ridiculous. Like, it was like 2 weeks.
Yes.
Week out. I couldn't believe it.
I called it though. I called it. Well, I should say I called it for at least Tomb Raider. I said that
yes, you did say about Tomb Raider.
I said Tomb Raider would score well, but it wouldn't sell well. And it's not that I wanted the game to fail. I just said, well, you can kind of look and tell like this game is coming out at a time period where there are much bigger games that are coming out. It's going to be hard to compete. You know,
yeah.
So
they were so aggressive with the price drops.
Yeah, I purchased it. I got a digital. I got the Game of the Year for $44, so I got it cheaper than actually buying. You know, I got Assassin's Creed Odyssey for $59 digitally with all the DLC with both. And it gave me the season pass, so I get to play Assassin's Creed 3 and Assassin's Creed Liberation when they come out next year. I'm like, that's the way to go. That's the way. And I purchased Call of Duty Black Ops. Shout out to Kid Smooth. He got it on the Xbox One. I got it on Xbox One with a deal. I had a little coupon, so I got it cheap. So whenever Smooth was going to jump on there,
he just did it last night. He was doing it. I think he was doing it last night. I was watching him rage on that thing because I was feeding the baby because it's been like
I told him,
baby time.
I said, man, I keep telling him, I'm like, dude, I'm a Call of Duty guy. I buy them every year, even though I may think they may not be good or whatever. But I said, man, I'm gonna get on there. I'm gonna show him some things. Hopefully, I help him out, improve his gameplay. I'm not like a master, but I do pretty well for myself. But I know
but you guys, like I put you guys on the we did that, man. You guys like SWAT teams on the Call of Duty. But I've been playing it too. They added the 2 new maps they added to it, and then and now it's double XP. I think this weekend for the game. I just don't. I'm confused though with the whole snow, and they added another person. Like I think another.
Yeah, they added that. I hate that person because that person is really overpowered.
Oh, I hate when they do that shit.
It's the special. Hold on, let me adjust my mic. I thought I hear my mic knocking. Was that me?
No, that's me probably.
Okay,
me tapping.
Yeah,
I gotta stop.
the perk, the person that they added, I kind of feel like their special is a little overpowered. But if you find the person, because if you find the person, you kill them, you're good. But if that person gets their special and they're hiding in the corner, that's it, man. They can really the game, it can be a game changer, which I feel is good and bad,
Yeah.
It's good for people who know how to play the game. It's bad for people who are noobs.
He'll carry us on the PS4. Hey, man. Thanks, man. Yeah. I tell you, because it's like I like it. I definitely think it's really much more polished than Call of Duty. Like I think it's more balanced. It's just when they add those agents and their special powers. I know with the Rainbow Six they did it too. Like it really is something where they like. And they do it with Overwatch. These hero type shooters, when they bring in somebody, it's usually they might make them overpowered at first, I think, to encourage people to use the new guys, or maybe to buy the DLC or to get the content and say, yo, this guy's amazing. Because they can't put some like crap ass person that's like, oh yeah, that guy's weak. Like, because nobody's gonna buy the DLC and nobody's gonna stay engaged with the game. They gotta kind of give that, and then once they make them overpowered, people start you exploiting that character. Then they probably tailor it down, and then we're rebalancing it. Sorry, but I think it's intentional sometimes.
Oh, it is. It totally is.
Yeah, when new guys come out, heroes come out, that they're a little more, have a little overpowering or something that like kind of breaks the game or does something to give you an advantage to kind of entice people to buy it. It's all psychological,
Right.
Doing that stuff. But I sure they did have. But anyway, yeah, I've been the closest game I can get to is NHL because it's quick and it's easy between the feeding the baby and staying up late nights and stuff like that. I'm
not even mad at that, man.
It was crazy. So I've been jumping on Call of Duty. But I actually, the one night I was actually able to game, I was like, I gotta put the Impatient on. I've been staring at this stupid box for like about 6 to 8 months. I bought this game like cheap, like $15.
You're like, I need to play it.
I'm like, I gotta play this VR, and also too, I saw so many tweets with people getting the VR and the VR. I'm like, I gotta throw my VR on, man. I've been playing like Dragon Quest and Battlefield.
Astrobot. That's the one game.
I got Astrobot in the plastic. That's the next game I'm gonna play. I got Moss. I gotta finish up, and I even got Beat Saber was awesome. I've been playing that with my son, but like basically, and they added some more music to it too. That game is crazy. Like, workout for your arms. But I was like, I gotta throw my VR on. I want to play this Impatient game. And for some reason, last year I went Until Dawn on New Year's Eve. I beat it. I went through the whole game, and it was awesome. Like that was like my New Year's thing because like my wife worked that night. I was just like in the house. I was like, let me play, Until Dawn, and just like shut all the lights and just play it. Game was awesome. Impatient is the prequel tied into Until Dawn, and it's really short though. Like I was surprised that it ended, and it was not really this huge meaningful ending, but it was cool how the end. I don't want to do spoilers, but if many people playing it and stuff,
I've heard nothing but good things about it.
It's pretty cool. But like it's definitely like a walking. Like you walk, you can play with a couple things. Like I thought it was gonna be more guided, where you're just in a wheelchair, but that's only in the beginning. But otherwise, like you could walk around, and I didn't get nauseous at all. Like usually when you're walking, I was using the Move controllers, and you don't teleport, you just walk very slowly, and but it was pretty cool because it was like it had some interaction, but man, jump scares and cool things where you're looking at your arms and your arms like could change and stuff like that. It was really cool. But I streamed the whole game. I didn't realize I streamed the whole game. I was like, oh, it's over, and then I went back and did the ending again, and it was hilarious because there's a part where you're in the elevator, and like depending on how quickly you hit the buttons, because I didn't know what to do, it depends if people die and stuff like that. Like it was crazy.
I've heard nothing but good stuff about the game. I can't knock it until I try it. I mean, I picked up a crap load of stuff. I picked up.
I just saw the big plus. I was like, I got to get through some of these.
I picked up Shadow of the Tomb Raider. I bought it for, like I said, 44 with all the DLC. I picked up Spiral the Dragon for 29.
Oh, yeah, Spiral.
I picked up Death's Gambit, I think, for $11. What else did I pick up? Assassin's Creed, The Origins. I picked that one up. I picked up the Prey Collect Game of the Year edition with the whole DLC. What else did I pick up? I picked up Evil Within 2, and then Evil Within 1's DLC was $5, and Evil Within 2 was $20. So I've been picking up a lot. I mean, some of the games I'm going to catch up on, and then some of the games I'm like, hey, these came out this holiday. I do plan to buy NHL and FIFA because I didn't get this year's FIFA and I really wanted to.
Yo, did you see that deal that they had where you could buy all the sports games for $80?
Yes,
that's
I'm
crazy
telling
thing.
you, man.
That's a bundle.
EA needs to do that.
I was surprised how quickly those drop because NHL usually doesn't drop. The craziest thing with NHL is that I usually hold out and wait until at least the season starts because they start at the preseason. And I usually wait until the season starts and they drop it on sale. This year they didn't do it, but man, once the holiday hit, that thing was like $23 now.
And I haven't really been playing sports games like I want to. So I was like, you know what? The only game I got this year was 2K and Live. And I said, well, I got
Madden. I don't know why I buy Madden.
I thought I should
play it for like a week, and then I'm like, I'm done. And I think because the Giants just suck. Like they just don't.
My team sucks too. The Jets.
Well, yeah, there we go. Like they just, I'm just not inspired to play. Like I think the same thing happened to me in fantasy football, where it was like I just abandoned my team because I just wasn't into the football, and now. I got to watch football now with the Eagles because I'm in, Eagles country, and it's always interesting to watching them fail or lose. But I think Foles, football talk. I think Foles, if he does it again or takes it to the playoffs, I love just watching the implosion of Wentz versus Foles, like what they're gonna do in Philadelphia. That's like my entertainment is just watching them just kind of critique and go after their team. But we'll see. Like I kind of want them to win just to kind of create that kind of commotion. Like what?
I want them to shake it up.
I know, man.
I'm tired of seeing the same people win every year. But
oh my God, talk about college football. I watched that crap last night. I'm like, oh, again, my God. Like it's the same teams. Like I thought Notre Dame hopefully would even try to get there to mix stuff up, but same friggin' teams.
Speaking of games that dropped in price, you forgot one, Battlefield 5. Even though we kind of
I know
game dropped to 29 quick.
It dropped quick. That was real quick.
Like, it's actually fun online. Like it's
good.
Fun.
I like it. I got it with my friggin' points.
Man,
I liked it.
Like, man, this game dropped quick.
It fixed that. That beta, it was garbage, though.
Oh, the beta was trash. I remember me and you played that. And we were like, hey, is this water?
Yes. That was horrible.
It was horrible.
I was like, friggin' Mario, like Mario World, Super Mario World had better water effects in this game.
Speaking of Mario, I caved in and picked up the Smash.
Oh, shit. That's my son's playing right now, man. He's unlocking all these guys, man. It's
my son has been playing it nonstop, getting all these shit. Man, I can say
I put him to work. I'm like, unlock all the characters for me.
I'm impressed. I didn't think I'd be impressed. I'm very much
good.
I eat my words of saying that it was going to be a port from the Wii U It's
Well,
definitely
you played the
not.
Wii U version
Yeah, I
to
played
that
the Wii
one,
U
like.
version. It's definitely not a port. It's a game that's built.
Okay, so it is. I know they
Yeah,
showed previews, like the screenshots to the other one. Like I think they.
definitely not a port. I eat every word because that's what I thought it was gonna be, and I was afraid because I kind of felt like, okay, you gave me Mario Kart, which that's another game I picked up. You gave me Mario
That's
Kart,
good.
you added, but I was like, I want something to play, and I'm like, my Switch, I don't have, I'm like,
Yeah.
there's probably like 10 good games to play on there, and that's
Well,
not bad, but
we're talking like things that we said that was trash, and then we did. Lightning is
oh
gonna
yeah,
strike me here. I
which one?
signed up for 1 month of Nintendo Online
Oh,
just for Smash Brothers,
hold
just
on,
to play
man.
Smash
I
Brothers.
gotta admit it too. And I picked up Smash and I bought a $20 card.
No,
Yeah, because here's the thing, and I'm gonna tell you
Reggie
why.
is just dancing on our heads, man.
I'm gonna tell you why. I never said I wouldn't buy it, but my whole thing was like I didn't like the whole all these, and I just wanted to buy. Let me buy my NES games. I don't want to have to
see
get
how
them
the online worked. I wanted to just to
but
see.
really, I'm gonna tell you what I really wanted to buy for it because everybody in the community that I know is playing Smash. Like, I look at my friends list because my freaking Switch name is on my Twitter. So people can go ahead and friend request
that
me.
long ass code.
Man, I got freaking Kofi and everybody who has a Switch that I know in the community is freaking playing Smash. I'm like,
oh yeah,
come on, man, I gotta play. So it's kind of one of those things. He's like, man, I don't want to be left out. I kind of want to play with these people. Hey,
man, that's the power of exclusives.
Look, and here's the thing:
games. All you gotta
do is jump in the Discord chat and play. I mean, that's bad to say it like that, but I mean, just jump into Discord and play. So I'm down with the Smash.
It's in the online. I haven't had the lag that I had when I was playing with the Mario Tennis. Like, I'm wondering if they, they improve. They knew they were going to charge people for it. They actually improved their.
Did you pick up? Let me ask you a question. Are you playing? That's the one thing I want to know. Are you playing Wi-Fi or are you playing with the Ethernet cable?
Wi-Fi. Switch? I don't have an Ethernet now.
Yeah, because I know there's a little plug you can plug into the USB, and it's an Ethernet. And I'm playing Wi-Fi on everything. I've never had a problem playing Wi-Fi on my Switch with anything, but maybe now I guess once I get to get on there playing, I'll get to see if there's any lag. Like it
hasn't been that bad. I did so what I did, I was away when it came out. I preloaded the game and then I played it on like hotel Wi-Fi that night, and it wasn't that bad at all. That's right.
Yeah, you told me that.
Yeah. So it was the night of the Game Awards. Like, I was watching that, and it wasn't. It works, and like the online is pretty cool because you could take two people and go online with it. Like, you could take two people on one Switch and be a tag team and go online against another tag team. So it's pretty cool. So you could do like, you always see like the one player and the one player, which I don't know if they changed that. Like, I remember when they pulled back that policy of like, you could share profiles, because at first you weren't allowed to. You had to buy multiple, like the family plan. So I don't know. I'm glad you could use guests on it.
Wait, so hold on. Let me ask you a question. So since I'm on my Switch and I only have one Switch and everybody's going to be playing on my Switch in my house, can they go online with or no? Do I have to?
I believe they can. They just like how Xbox and PlayStation do it, where if it's on the device,
right.
I think that it matters. I think it's if you try to use that on another device, that profile doesn't.
Oh, okay.
I remember at first they said no. Everybody on the device has to have either. You got to buy that family account. Make
sense. That would.
So I don't know. I got to try. He hasn't tried online with his account. I've been making him use my account for that. But I got to try that. But I thought they changed their policy where as long as it's on the main account has it, then other accounts can do it. I don't know. Don't quote me on it. I don't know if it is, but I know they changed something.
I hope they did.
But but it was that I've been playing. So Smash Brothers, been playing. Oh, and we got the Pokemon Go with the little controller. That game,
I didn't get that. I heard it's kind of like
it is kind of lame. Like, it is like the ball is cool. Like, you can extract the guys and they shake in the ball and it vibrates, but it is kind of just walking around catching Pokemon.
Let me ask you this question for your son, who obviously is younger. He's new to Pokemon. Is it good, is it a good starter game for somebody like him?
Yeah, well, it's real simple. The only problem is using that stupid Pokemon ball. It's like you don't know which end is up. It's like the red is up, and so if he just holds the ball and pushes up, his guy doesn't go up. Like, you got to have the ball oriented in a way that it doesn't tell you which way is up. So it's kind of confusing. If you're just holding the ball in your hand like a natural ball and you're trying to move the joystick around, your guy's not going the way you wanted to go. But it's just like, and then also the motion detection, like you got to click. He just wants to throw it as soon as he sees them, but then you got to click to activate the motion detection, and then it works. It's neat. But it didn't really hold his interest too long. Smash Brothers is where it's at. Like he played Brawlhalla. We played Brawlhalla a lot, and Smash Brothers is just on top of that. Plus, he loved the Pokemon fighting game. You know, the tournament DX, that tournament one. So like seeing all those Pokemon in Smash, they put so many of them in it. And Smash Brothers, like it's crazy. And I love the unlocking thing. I love how a new challenge is coming up and stuff like that. Like I think that's a cool way of doing it. But yeah, I agree with Daniel. Like I just want the real Pokemon game. Like this game is sort of like you're walking around, you see the Pokemon, you just run at them and just throw the ball. They did add battles to it, so like you can fight with your Pokemons now, and I think they added another, so you could fight with other trainers. So it's sort of like a mini Pokemon game, but very, you could add upgrade powers to the Pokemon. Like as they level up, you could swap out saying, well, I want him to do, he only has 3 moves, I want him to do a different move and stuff like that. So there is some sort of like of traditional Pokemon in it. But yeah, and hopefully the Nintendo talks about it. I know there's a Nintendo. I heard people talking about Nintendo Direct early
in January
next year. If they start talking about Pokemon early January, man, Nintendo's just going to go right into that, because they did say in spring when they announced Pokemon Go that this is the one of the 3 Pokemon games, and the next one's going to be a traditional Pokemon game coming early next year. I thought they said. So
I thought they did say it was coming up. I guess by spring maybe. So I'm guessing.
I thought it was. So we'll see what that Nintendo Direct. Oh, if they show Metroid, man, that's what I'm waiting. That's the next game I'm waiting for.
That's what I want. Yeah, that's what
I'm waiting for Metroid on that. But I tell you, like the Switch for what it is, and it's current to a Switch thing, but like because it did sell, like talking about like I know we're bouncing all over the place, but like the Switch did incredible, like. For that, late next year, Eilish says. So yeah, probably late next year, but it's definitely coming out. They said alluded to Pokemon game, a traditional next year. But I tell you, for what the Switch is, man, I tell you, it is a pretty polished system that definitely has a lot of things that need to improve. Like the store is still like all over the place. Oh my god, that store! But
if I had to rate the stores and just the UIs of how things work, it definitely PlayStation to me has a better store and UI, and then Microsoft, and then Nintendo. Shout out to Meds. Meds. He's going to be a part of you guys. And he bought his Xbox One, and he said this UI is so clunky and slow. And I've been saying it for the longest time. And people were like, "Well, you shouldn't talk because you primarily play on PlayStation." I was like, "This is not a fanboy thing."
I know.
Like, it wasn't a fanboy thing. I was like, this UI is freaking. If you go from 360
but when you go from the
Xbox
beginning.
One, it's not this. It's that UI. I just felt like, and it's, I think, a lot of people, and this is what I kind of feel. I told my wife this the other day. I said, in this community, I said, if you talk about something and you kind of tell truth, people get pissed even if you tell the truth. They don't want to hear the truth.
Nobody wants to hear bad news about their console or platform or idea.
And I'm like, take everything. I talk. There's bad about Nintendo. There's bad about Sony. There's bad about everything.
Yeah, and actually, the Sony store has been slow. Like even yesterday, like I have my thing hooked up. It's been slow as shit. I'm like, what's going on?
The influx of people who own like the consoles, they're buying PlayStation.
That was something that didn't happen though. Like the way it crashed. Like that.
No, it didn't crash.
The only thing that crashed was like Alexa. I think Alexa crashed.
Yeah, Alexa crashed. I was surprised at PlayStation, but I said, look, like Xbox's UI to me is very slow. Like it's very hard to navigate because
it's cumbersome. There's a lot of stuff going on, unnecessary stuff. I find it's not very streamlined.
Constant advertisements of this and that. I'm like,
I hate that community tab. I hate it to this day. It has to go.
Yeah, I'm like, look, and I think the one thing that Nintendo and Sony get right, and this is the one aspect I think Microsoft has to change with their Xbox, is when you turn your console on, it needs to be about gaming, and you need to see games right then and there. All the games you own need to be that are downloaded. Because Sony, I turn my system on, they're games right there. It lets me know it's a game system first.
Yeah.
Same with my Switch. Where the Xbox, it's like, okay, where the hell do I go for my games? If I don't create pins,
you don't create pins.
So I'm just like, they've made it so.
Or you got to go to My Games and Apps, which is like a little tab on the screen.
I think that Xbox One in itself is it's had a lot of shortcomings just because of where they started and what they wanted that system to be. And I do think next generation Microsoft will get better But I don't know with their execs, because I saw what you put in there with their execs, the way they're talking. Who knows where they're going or what they're
Who
going to do?
knows? That's the
Because,
thing.
man,
We don't know,
they're
man.
all over the place.
They're all over that, and that's the
Man.
thing I wanted to talk. Is like it's just crazy because and this is the thing that drives me crazy. It's like they are all over the place. They want to be one platform, but then they want to like throw shade at other platforms. It's like, where do we want to go here? Like, I have no clue what the hell they want to do, and and all this talk, and then I know.
And I want to invest in their games. That's the thing. Like,
I don't care about the freaking hardware.
No, I don't care about
hardware. I can't have hardware in this house because you want to know what you get. And I'll tell you a perfect example. Hardware loses its value. Games don't. That's the thing. Like, if a good game doesn't lose its value.
Nintendo games keep their price.
Exactly.
They keep their price.
That Xbox that broke over the holiday, because that was another story I had when I had my Xbox on. So I had one last Xbox left, and it was at my parents' house. I bought my parents one.
Right.
That's the thing. Like, I believed in Xbox so much. Not only did I buy 4 for myself, I bought my parents one because I wanted them. So when I went over there, I could play games when I was over their house. Plus, that was kind of like the underlying, like, low key, like, oh, I could bring my library with me. So I like sideloaded my profile over there. So like when my son goes over there, he could play and I could play, while we're supposed to be visiting. But anyway, but I sold it as like, oh, you could listen through the controller, you could watch TV on it, and you don't have to switch inputs to go to all your stuff. It's all there. Well, I got to see how an Xbox with a person who doesn't play games on it normally operates it, and it was so confused when the UI changed like 3 different times. It's like, what the hell happened to my UI? Why am I seeing this now? He used Connect, and then Connect just stopped working. Like, I didn't touch it. This is not like influence at all. Like, he's like, it doesn't respond to me anymore. I'm like, yeah, they're getting rid of it. They're not using it anymore. He goes, what?
Right.
And it was
that can be hard.
It was disheartening because I believe so much in it. Like, you could just talk to the TV and tell volume up and all this other stuff, and I believed in this. And then to watch it just fail right before your eyes.
It's sad because when you talk the truth like this, you get the fanboys that are so upset about it. I'm like, this is
the truth. What happened? This is what happened.
You don't want them to be like this next generation. You got to tell them the things they mess up this generation, so they will not come out with the $500 box.
You gifted somebody some like thing. It's like, well, yeah, well, this is this vision, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, it doesn't work anymore. I'm like, oh, well, now it's Cortana. All right, and now Cortana, it doesn't work now. Oh, well, put it back to Xbox. He's like, but it doesn't respond anymore. I'm like, well, they took the power out of the Connect and they're using it in this. And then, like, it was just a mess just to watch it just fall apart in front of somebody's face that doesn't primarily game on it. Now, you can imagine if you try to put gaming on there, it's like, get rid of all this noise and let me play some games on it. And then when you get rid of all the noise, the games were drying up in the last couple of years. But that thing died. It basically just turns on and turns off. I think that was like the video you had with the X where you click it on, it goes, bloop, and then it just stays on for a little bit. I hear like it trying to boot up, and it goes. Bloop.
Yep, and I had my ex.
I think it was like one of your videos.
My day one, it got the most traction because people saw it as a negative video when I was telling the truth. I mean, it got a lot of hits, but yeah, I got my day one freaking Xbox X, which is the Scorpio edition, and that thing was broken, and I was like, what the hell? And I had a lot of problems with GameStop trying to return it that same damn day. I bought it. They gave me hell just to return it. And I got another Xbox One X, and then that one started having problems, and it wasn't. I was like, "What the hell?" I have one now. I haven't.
And then they said, "Don't plug it into strips." And
you can't.
I plugged my Xbox into strips for years, and nothing ever happened. Now all of a sudden, there's a power issue. All of a sudden,
there's so many things that they don't tell you. And I guess they're like, oh, you can't plug it because it has its own power strip.
Yeah, all of a sudden,
its own power surge protector, and I'm like, look, you guys, man, and I feel like more of this generation than anything that the Xbox brand has been more. I've said this so many times. It's been
very fickle.
It's been more Microsoft than Xbox. As last generation, when they talked about Xbox, it was Xbox this, Xbox that, 360.
Yeah, but you can't say that now, and that's where this whole Ybarra thing turned into. Like, it basically, you can't say anything. Like, the thing is like, there's just selective hearing. It's like, do you want to be a PC? Xbox is one platform. But when you see these studio acquisitions and all this other stuff, everybody thinks that this is Xbox making a comeback. And it's like,
it's
no, you got to look at it. If it's a holistic approach, it's a tag team. Xbox and PC are moving forward. Like, that's the thing, you know?
right.
But then all of a sudden, when you buy like Obsidian, everybody's like, oh my God, RPGs, exclusive games coming to Xbox. It's like, no, not necessarily. Those studios might be making games for PC.
I don't
And
think
the thing is you get slapped if you say, like, well, those studios may not make an Xbox game. And it's like, well, are you insane? What's wrong with you? And it's like, they might not.
Yeah, they may make it for PC, and that game may come later to
Just
Xbox.
Look at Gears Tactics. Gears Tactics, Minecraft Dungeons. The thing is that those games are being made for PC in mind. So how can you say, oh, they're one platform, Xbox and PC? It's like, well, why are they putting exclusives on one of them and not on the other one?
I just feel like the last 2 years, especially this year,
it's all over the place.
The last 2 years has been all speculation with Xbox.
It still is.
Hope and expectations and dreaming. The last year of the PlayStation brand and the Nintendo brand, we've known what we're going to get, and when we get a surprise, we're generally surprised. We see something in the works. With Xbox, it's kind of like,
you got to have optimism. That's the thing. Like, you got to have hope. Like
with this whole generation, I'm just like, this generation to me is done. They have to start next generation strong, especially for a guy like me who loves video games. And it's not more or less about, oh, I'm all on Xbox or all on PlayStation. It just happens.
I'll play wherever the games are.
Yeah, that's me. I'll buy it.
And fortunately for me, and unfortunately for Xbox, the games have been on PlayStation and on Nintendo.
Switch,
you go for the exclusives, so the experiences that you cannot experience. And you go there and you stay and you just say, oh, I'll play here for now while you play those games. Meanwhile, you know, you tout up Red Dead Redemption. Oh my God, plays best. The thing is like, you've been playing worst on the S for the longest time. It wasn't a big deal with the original Xbox when we had the worst versions. I wasn't going out running a PlayStation 4 going, I got to play this game best. It was about the exclusives.
I did some research and I watched a couple of channels. I did some research and I just want to see, as far as exclusives, like, you know, if exclusives really matter from last gen to this gen and so forth. Because, you know, a lot of people say exclusives don't matter. Last generation, Xbox 360 had what they consider exclusives, 217 exclusives compared to Sony's PS3, which had 191. Which that was really close. This generation, Microsoft has only had 13 exclusives, whereas Sony has had 70.
You know? And when you say exclusive, do you mean Xbox and PC or just only on Xbox?
Well, this is how I look at it. To consider it exclusive, I'll say it's on an Xbox platform and it's nowhere else. Maybe if it's on PC and it's on Xbox, and I'll say I'll give them that exclusive, even though technically, if I do that, and that's why I said
it's really the day and date. That's the thing that gets me with the Xbox.
But here's
the thing: the day and date stuff.
If I take because here's the thing: if I take away games that are on PC and Xbox, because that means it's not exclusive. If I take away, that means the only games that Microsoft has that are truly exclusive are Halo Master Chief Collection, Halo 5, Forza 5, and Rear Replay. They only have 4 games exclusive because those aren't on PC. Everything else they have is on PC. But I'm giving them the fact that it's on PC and Xbox, those as exclusives. So 13 is not a lot compared to 70. And you know, it baffles me how. And then you also got to look at, and this is where it comes in. It's like when you say things like this, people say, "Oh man, it's a fanboy." Look at next year, man. We got, well, let's just say these games they announced. So they announced with their Gears Tactic, which we don't know if that's coming to Xbox. We know a Crackdown 3 is. We know the new Ori game is. We know Gears 5 is.
Yeah, those are the 3. That's what they're running with.
Yeah, they released their Forza game this year, Halo Infinite, and we're probably going to get a Forza Horizon 8 next year, right? So that's
I don't think we're getting a Horizon.
Well, let's just say we are, right? Let's just say we
get those 3 games. That's like last year they lined up as Crackdown, Sea of Thieves, and State of Decay 2. They start with their narrative where they lead into next year. Remember, those are the 3 they led into this year. Crackdown got pushed.
But if you just go with the narrative of just those games, that's what we know that's coming. And you look at Sony's portfolio, Sony has Days Gone. Sony released the Spider-Man this year. Sony released the God of War this year. They got Ghost of Tsushima. They got The Last of Us 2 coming. Even though people laugh at Dreams, it's still a game we know about. We got Death Stranding.
I wish they got
we got Neo Part 2. So I'm just like, we know these games and we've seen them. Like when I just
that's the thing. You know the games and see them. Like
like all the games I announced for Xbox, I'm like, we really haven't really seen any of these games, like seen them actually playing, other than we just
People
saw
believe that little Crackdown little video. I'm like, why wasn't that at XO18? That little Crackdown.
And that should have been.
That's
my problem.
And they need more of that. Like that was great. Like that's that's what they need to be doing. They need, but they give it to IGN. They're like, hey, IGN, throw it in your like pool of videos, and it just.
Let me tell you something, Jazz. I'm gonna tell you something, Jazz. The communities. I'm gonna tell you why I say the communities. The community is pretty toxic, right? The reason I say it's toxic is the fanboys, because they are unrealistic.
Everywhere,
check this out. Look at Microsoft's, and like I said, I did some research. Look at Microsoft's games that have scored. Let's just talk about scores. Scored 90 or higher. There are only 2 games this generation. 2 games this generation have scored 90 or above. And both those games were Forza Horizon games. That's Forza Horizon 3 and Forza Horizon 4. Yeah. Sony's had freaking, and I'm just going by with Metacritic, right? So we just go by Metacritic. Sony's had The Last of Us 2. Yes, it was a remaster, but still. I'm sorry, The Last of Us Part 1. Yes, it was a remaster, but it scored a 95. God of War 94. Freaking Uncharted 4 was a 93. Persona 5 was a 93. Bloodborne a 92. Journey a 92. Yes, that was another game that remastered, but still. We had, there's just so many games. Then when you start looking at, you start saying like, okay, well, what about their games that scored 80? Microsoft only has 4 games that scored an 80 compared to Sony's. Oh man, I can't even. If I start naming off games that scored an 80 for Sony, Microsoft had 4 games. Sony had at least probably 15 games. So it speaks volumes. Like it speaks a lot of volumes. And then people say, well, Sony had games that scored low. Microsoft did too. So Microsoft had their 60 something games, and that was the games we got this year: the Sea of Thieves, State of Decay 2, the freaking the game with the squirrel. What's it called? Super Lucky's Tale, Recore, and then Rise. But then if you look at Sony's games that scored in that same league, it was like Killzone, Shadowfall, Drive Club, Knack. No, Knack was Infamous was an 80. Infamous was 80s. Now, Knack 1 and 2 scored in the 60s, and then freaking The Order. So even if you look at Sony's worst games, you still got to look and say, damn, even their worst games, games.
I think that's the reason why is like that's why I think that when the Xbox releases a game, like the Metacritic is so important. Well, not the Metacritic sounds important, but like the way and the thing is like not saying these games are bad because of Metacritic. People might like these games, people might not like these games. The thing is that the Metacritic is usually the universal appeal of the critics. So like you could still love Sea of Thieves even though the critics said it was a 60.
Right, and I totally agree with that.
The thing is like it's more of the critical appeal of the game, and just like is it well reviewed or is it well received?
Right. It's not even that, Jazz. You know what it really is when you look at the legacy of the exclusives from this generation, it's been very disappointing for Xbox.
It has been.
This is probably the worst lineup in history for any console they've ever had.
They had the lineup with the highest point for me with Xbox was when they had Gears Ultimate, Tomb Raider, and it was Gears It was the best lineup. It was Halo 5, Gears Ultimate, Tomb Raider, and those are the best lineup in Xbox history. Like that was
disappointing when your original
in the same holiday. I was like, holy crap.
What's disappointing is I own an original Xbox still to this day. It's still sitting on my TV. I will never get rid of it. I love that system. And that game had 94 exclusives on it compared to 13 on this
like you said it before. And we've said it a million times. I've said it 1,000 times. They've shifted the focus from what Seamus Blackley believed a console to be. Why they made a console, why they need to invest in the ecosystem. Microsoft has basically taken that and turned it into the Xbox TV box. Basically, it is just a device that sits under your TV and that will get games, but their primary focus right now is to incorporate that PC market. That's what they want to get at.
That's sad, man, because I think the Xbox brand is such a good brand.
And when they separated from Windows, when the 360 was its own thing, its own, yes, it had kernel, Windows kernel, and all that stuff.
But it was so much better.
It was its own thing. It had blades. It wasn't tied into Windows Update. It was its own thing. Like the blades, everything was being made to better the console.
Well, this generation has a lot to do with Satya. He's
the one that I blame for this whole.
Look,
Yeah.
Porter Rock says,
Stadia.
Sadia wanted the Thanos the whole freaking Xbox division. He was like, get rid of it. He wanted to snap his fingers for it to be gone. And I don't think that's what they needed, because I think Xbox as a brand is a really good brand. I think that if Xbox or Microsoft said we're gonna sell an Xbox division to Amazon or Google or whatever, right? Xbox by itself, the name Xbox can stand a test for its time of itself. But I think the problem is Microsoft is like, look, we just want to be just like our Windows, our Microsoft Windows stuff and all that. We want it to be everywhere. Shoot, just like you said before. Yay, we got people on Mac that want to use this stuff. Let them use it. We don't care. We got Mac users. We got Android users.
I know. We got everybody. They want everybody. Because what they want to do is have this thing. They basically want this thing to just kind of have its own energy. Basically, they have been struggling forever, because I follow everything with Windows. They have been struggling so long to try to get developers on board for any of their stuff. They try to get it on board to utilize all the stuff that they did. So the Windows 10 store, the store in the Windows mobile phone, that failed because the app ecosystem, nobody wanted to develop for it. The problem I always say is that if you don't show interest and have energy into your own product, the devs are not going to do it as well. The thing is that you cannot give, just by putting the tools out there, doesn't encourage a dev to just drop what they're doing and jump on your platform. You got to show growth. You got to show that they're selling. And that's the problem, because when they go, well, the console's not successful, the console selling doesn't matter to us. It should matter, because the thing is I think Sony gets a lot of exclusives, especially this gen, and I think Microsoft got it with the 360, because you're the lead platform. When you're the lead platform, you just get exclusives by default. You didn't have to go out there with your wallet. You didn't have to go out there shopping around. People come to you because they want to be on your platform, just like Apple. People will go to Apple going like, hey, can we put this on your thing? You're Apple. We want to put this on you. When you're in the lead, when you are showing growth and lead, and same thing with the Switch. Look at the Wii U compared to the Switch. Did devs want to put anything on the Wii U? No, but you got friggin' like who is it? You got like Bethesda and people putting games on Nintendo products. Like, oh, hey, let's put Doom on this.
They see where they can make their money.
Why? It's because it's selling. The console is growing. The console's selling. It's leading. It leads MPDs. It's growing. It's going to be possibly 2 million by the spring. It's growing. So the thing is, that's why people are putting games on there. Now, I'm sure they're putting those games on there, what they have now, and maybe the next game will release day and date on a Switch. You know, they're saying, and you're seeing more and more games go on the Switch. Now, they're not running in 4K fidelity and stuff like that, but the thing is that the developer interest, the publisher interest is on a console that's selling, that's growing. That's the reason why I say Microsoft has to double down and show why the console is important, because that's how you get your developers. Not by saying, well, our console is a PC and we have one ecosystem. We got 3 million people with Windows 10, 3 trillion. Like, that's not what developers, that might work for some indie people or maybe some developers. But the thing is that it works when people see the sales, when they see these consoles selling. They want to put their games on there. There's tons of exclusives that Sony just gets just because they're the lead platform. And that was the reason what happened with the PlayStation 3 was that the 360 was out a year before. Devs had it. They started making games for it, and they made games just for the Xbox, and they put them over to PlayStation, and it didn't work.
Well, it goes back to the Microsoft whole Xbox division last generation. Like, they were getting games because they were the lead platform, and it was just,
you got to sell your platform.
I mean, Sony eventually, caught up to them, and you could really see like they were neck and neck last generation. It was a good fight. Like they were Sega Genesis, Super Nintendo fighting, but this generation is like Sony ran away just like it was a PS2 again, and I think that's mainly because the way that Microsoft position the Xbox as more of a Microsoft thing than an Xbox thing. Stop getting these guys who really aren't gamers come on the stage and talk about things that they really aren't interested in. We don't want to hear that PR talk. We want to hear what you can give to me as the gamer, the consumer. Because guess what? When you're out there talking this PR talk, the casuals don't know that. The casuals make the market.
And casuals are not going to have hope. This hope and thing that I'm seeing and on this interaction that I had with Twitter, it's like basically it's like, oh, give them a chance, let them see. I said I can only comment on what I see and what I hear. And the thing is this is what I see. I see a lot of focus on PC development. I see a lot of focus on PC, and I don't see any. And I see it when they say, "Oh, but we care about our console." It's like the side bitch. It's like, "Oh yeah, we care about our console." Yeah, like,
once again,
you know. But it's like, why isn't your gaming platform the lead platform for gaming, and then you expand? Why is now the Xbox turned into like? Yeah, we'll put that on the side, but like Gears Tactics is being built from the ground up for PC. Gears 5 is for PC. Halo Infinite is going to be PC players and be first-class citizens. It's like, what? Oh, do you forget about the $500 box that you just sold to people? Oh, they'll get it too. You'll get it too.
Well, that's why I say they have to do something with the X going forward, because if they don't do something with that box and they announce some new console coming next year, or even at E3, or they announce it coming, even if it's not coming next year, they announce it and news console coming, people are going to look and say, what the hell? I just bought a $500 piece of equipment. What did I buy this for?
Yeah.
And that, I think that hurts them. And at the end of the day, it hurts them.
I'm sharing my screen now. I'm going to get into this whole, you can see all my comments if you follow me on Twitter, but what I'm going to get into where the hell Ybarra went pissing in everybody's cornflakes here. So it's like talking about PC and Xbox stuff. What the hell is it? It was all this whole shebang here. Here it is. This guy, Daniel Cooley, he doesn't even have a lot of followers. The guy just wrote, for the first time in my life, I own the current gen consoles. Now, this is off the whims of Ybarra trolling everybody, talking about his interaction. And I like to joke where he's like, I wear an Xbox shirt. And the person said, I prefer PlayStation 4. And he goes, we all make mistakes. And
I remember this whole thing with that.
So that like triggered people because, Phil's going out there, kumbaya, let's roast some marshmallows. And Ybarra is going out there pissing on PlayStation preference. Meanwhile, everybody should be one gamer, right? One platform. Unifying gaming is where it should be. I didn't know that owning another platform is a mistake. Okay. And I thought it was a pretty clever comment, a joke, but I thought it's coming out of the wrong mouth because Microsoft, Ybarra, and Xbox really should be the last people talking about mistakes. After I just spoke about the disaster of Kinect and Snap and all the changes and fickle-minded stuff of the Xbox platform, they shouldn't be saying the word mistake at all. $500 platform, Phil Spencer looking like a goof on stage, announcing an Xbox for $500 of a camera. He says it's a mistake. So I don't think you should be saying we all make mistakes. I hope he was talking about himself as well. Because I'm telling you, Xbox really is not in a position to even say that kind of mistakes because they're still fixing their mistakes.
Right.
So I thought it was a little choice of words. But anyway, it flew up because it kind of is counterintuitive to what Phil is trying to establish, is this whole thing. So on the cusp of that thing, and I saw tons of videos about it. It's a joke. And then Polygon's video about Anaconda, people took that as offense and hurtful.
Oh, my Anaconda dome.
On a code name for one of the 5 Xboxes that they're still making, which I personally find as offensive, is like, how the hell, this is the first time I ever seen when you sell a $500 console not even a year ago, and we're already talking and excited for the next generation console. Then why did you buy the $500 one when you still haven't even seen the Hovis method and cooling and all this other shit, the most powerful console in the world, to get an uptick in graphics? Still have worse performance in frame rates or equal performance because you're trying to brute force resolution. Like, it's really not being utilized the way the X should be utilized. And that's because games are not being built for the X, especially from Microsoft. They're being built for PC first and then ported over to the X. We heard it first from the State of Decay guys. You might build assets on PC, but the game is being designed, should be designed for the Xbox One X. An example is with God of War and with Spider-Man. Those games were built for the specific hardware. That's why Gears of War 1 is not as good looking as Gears of War 3, because they had the same energy, the same graphics card with Gears 1 and Gears 3, but they fine-tuned it. They learned how to use the system. That's what happens with a console. A console could potentially have better graphics than your most powerful PC because it doesn't have to worry about all the different configurations. They can make assets for this. It's a fixed platform. The whole reason why a console exists. Per Seamus Blackley. Anyway, this guy goes on here saying, in the first time in my life, I own each of the current gen consoles. He has a picture of an X and he has a picture of a PlayStation 4 Slim.
Right,
And
which is nothing wrong with
he
that.
didn't tag anybody. He wasn't like going, hey, Phil, look, I got an Xbox. Hey, Phil, obviously he probably plays more on the Xbox. Who knows? But the thing is, he didn't tag anybody. But then Ybarra comes on to this guy and he goes, you play games? Where's the PC?
I saw that.
Out of the blue.
Like what the hell? Yeah.
No,
like,
I think he's on fucking eggnog or something. I think he's drinking too much eggnog and he's just like sitting there going, oh, watch this, guys. I pissed off the PlayStation guys. No,
like,
watch
what does
this.
that have to do with anything?
What the hell does that have to do with anything? So then he goes, where's the PC? And you can see how many likes that has.
Oh my
but
God.
Then on top of that, not only does he do that, then the comments for that one, and this is the crazy story of Twitter. Like this is, again, this is like little arguments. This is not representing the whole and all this other stuff. This is just some Twitter crazy shit. But it just shows, because when he said that, everybody goes at him going like, why isn't Xbox exec talking about PC? Xbox, what about Xbox? What about Xbox? And that's all the comments to that one. Then he drops the bullshit going, we make both platforms. We'll work hard to satisfy them all. All this Xbox versus PC is nonsense. Microsoft delivers gaming to them all. Well, that friggin' got people.
Oh, people freaking just flipped out.
People are going at him like hardcore. Like basically they're going like, well, you created PC. What the hell? You only own the Windows 10 store. You don't make no PC. You don't make You don't make PC. So PC people are going at him, going like trashing on Microsoft Store and all this other stuff. My comment was, if you treat them as both, then why is Microsoft just making games for PC and not games just for Xbox? And why are Xbox Live features free on PC and not on Xbox? That does not sound like a one unified platform at all. My point is that if you're going to talk the talk about we're all one, we're making gamers one, then where is your tag team initiative of both of them? Why does it seem like you're favoring one pathway over the other? He would never say PC is not important to us. PC, he would. Did you ever hear that going? Xbox is where it all is. PC people, if they want to jump on, they can, do whatever they want. But Xbox is what we're doing with. We're leading with Xbox, and PC could come along if they want. He has never said that at all. But he has said the counter, though. He has said PC. I want PC is this. I got to fix PC. I got to do this. Xbox.
Yeah, he's talked about
selling
that.
consoles is not important to us. Selling consoles is not the driving factor. It's where the gamer goes. The thing is that you got a bunch of gamers sitting on dedicated gaming hardware that don't have dedicated games.
Yes.
And that's the challenge that's going on here. You know what? I didn't give a shit when you try to do Xbox Live anywhere. I didn't care about that on 360 because guess what? I was getting the games on the 360. You could do and poke around any way you want. But as long as you're delivering content to to your gaming platform, then that's fine. And I know that games are being built for that gaming platform. But when you're just giving me some bullshit PC ports, because that's what they're doing. Halo Infinite is going to be built for PC. Rod Ferguson said Gears 5 is being built for PC. Like, that's great for somebody who plays on PC, but guess what? I want a reason to own the console because I'm not a PC gamer. Like, I don't want to be playing Halo Infinite on my PC with a controller because I want to make sure that I'm playing with controller people, because that's another whole bullshit that you have to deal with now. When you're injecting keyboard and mouse and controller, you got to hope the developer makes two different playlists. Like you got to hope Sea of Thieves doesn't do it. So you got snipers there with keyboard and mouse.
Yeah, it
So
becomes a
they chose
whole
not to
different
do it.
animal.
It's a whole different bullshit that we don't need to deal with.
Yeah.
But anyway, so this whole thing went on and on and on. And I got, and you know, people were defending about like, it's one ecosystem. It's just one ecosystem. It's just, and it's like, the thing is like, then why is Microsoft focusing on one of them? Then that's it. And that's the whole point of it. And then what happens is that people start going, give them a chance. Then we turn into this whole like idealistic thing, you know, this whole like give them this whole hopefulness, give them a chance. Oh, let's see where they go with it. They're just rebuilding, give them time. And it's like, why are you so optimistic with Microsoft? Like, give them they just announced studios, give them some time, give them some time. Well, they don't want, like, they are still talking shit. They should, I said, they should go in the hole and rebuild and come out with some games. Let the games do the talking. I remember Phil did say that once. He's like, you know what? Let's not talk about resolution and stuff like that. Our games are going to do the talking. He said that about 2 years ago. He said that about 2 years ago when they had Gears 4 coming out. He goes, let's not talk about all this other stuff. Let's talk about the games. The games are going to do the talking. Now he's like, oh, he don't say anything now. Now he's like, and what I thought was hilarious is that at XO18, at Xbox event, when they're all going, Phil, everybody's chanting Phil's name, they get a microphone at him, and they got a, oh yes, Jemiah said, in addition, so in Ybarra, I don't want to jump off the XO thing. Ybarra then on that other one where he had an interaction with the store clerk, where he pissed in the cornflakes once. He basically goes, oh yeah, I forgot. Have fun at E3. Basically alluding to Sony not attending E3, telling that a Sony fan will not have fun at E3 because Sony's not having a press conference.
I didn't have a problem with the poking fun at each other.
I don't have a problem with it either with it.
Yeah, but when you've been constantly the generation loser in a constant way, I think it's okay. And you know,
yeah, you're the butt of everybody's jokes. I'm sure
you're the butt of everybody's jokes. So I don't, because a lot of people say, "Oh, it's media bias." I don't think it's media bias.
Yeah,
what I do think that it is you know, it's good old fun poking. I mean, Sony did this back in the PlayStation 1 days.
Yeah.
Nintendo, hey, plumber boy, come out at the Nintendo headquarters. Yeah. I think it's all good fun, but I think that when you have execs, and I don't think it's poor taste. My Anaconda don't have none if you don't have games on. There's nothing in poor taste. Just like when I think it was IGN that did this is how God of War was on PS4.
Yeah, they did that one too.
I don't have a problem with that to a certain extent, right? Some people say, well, there should be neutral because they're gaming the outlets, their media. I'm just like, I look at it like they're like, oh, that should only be stuff that YouTubers should do. These big gaming media outlets shouldn't do. They should partake in that kind of stuff. Look, life is life, fun is fun. I think it's okay to poke jokes here and there. I don't think that they did it out of any spite or to like make the brand hurt or anything like that. There should be any, you know, if you can't take a joke, then, and that's how I look at it. There needs to be some kind of circumstance where you need to know this is a joke and it's just a joke. It's nothing taken out of, you know, context. Don't take it as anything but a joke. Some people take things so serious, and I think that's where you get the fanboy stuff, and they get to the point where they're like, oh, you shoot, they said, oh, see, this is why I don't take Sony serious.
The thing is that it's the dichotomy of it, though. It's the hypocrisy of the whole. Like, you're talking about unifying gamers and being everywhere, then why?
Right, and so you're a hypocrite.
If you feel so strong about your brand, then stand behind your brand. I have no problem with that. But don't come out there and going, we got to be everywhere. We're one platform. We want you to play any device, no matter where you are. And then come out and go like, well, it's a mistake to own another platform. It's like, what's the message that you're sending here? Because you're all over the place. You're talking kumbaya that we all should, like, we're talking possibly Xbox apps on PlayStation. And meanwhile, you're like trolling people who like another platform. The thing is like, you can't, it's really kind of
you can't have it both ways.
Yeah,
you can't have it both ways.
And I know he went at Sony with the whole not crossplay, and that's not listening to gamers and all that other stuff. Crossplay is where it's at and all this other stuff, which that's fine. But then he He shuts up when it's like, well, why, when you do crossplay on PC, is one platform paying over the other? And he doesn't answer that. And even I think media went to him and asked him, and he didn't no comment. He has no comment about that. Like, that's the biggest thing, is that if you feel that they're one platform, then treat it like one platform. But don't decide when it is one platform and when it's not one platform. Like, that's the problem I have on Microsoft this whole entire last couple of years of this PC venture. It's like they're picking and choosing their battles, and people are picking and choosing their narratives. It should be all about the games. And when Microsoft goes on stage and announces games just for PC, that is, and we know that Xbox is not getting that game, and people are just assuming they are. Oh, well, keyboard and mouse support, you're going to get that. They never announced it with it. So what are you hoping for? It's not happening, because this is a joint. They want to get people on Windows 10. You know why? Because they want people that's the event. That the Windows 10 store is more important to them. I said this before, back when they priced the X. If they made the X $400 at launch, they would care about console sales and trying to gain that console market mind share back. Instead, they priced the X at $500, $100 more than the competition, with no games that show the difference in power. Hell, they don't even have demos of Xbox One X for the entire year of showing the potential of that system. The only demo I saw of an Xbox One X was at the Microsoft store in the back room where they do the demo stations. You got to ask to play it. Like, it's like tucked in the back. It's not even in the front going, look at the graphics on this X. They did a horrible job marketing the X and the power difference of it. They did a horrible job justifying that high price. It really showed the words that Phil said, where I don't care about the console sales. It's just another option. You want to know what? When you have a bunch of options out there, people are going to find the best option. And right now, you have made the best option the PC. That's what you've done. You made it free services on the PC.
Totally agree.
And you made the games run anything
like
you want on PC. And is that their intent? And people are like, well, they're still selling they're still making consoles. Microsoft has all the money in the world. The people.
Yep.
You know what I mean? They can make as much hardware as they want. And then they could pull it out right from underneath you when they want. Just like the Band, just like the Zune, just like the Kinect, just like the features they took out, like a Snap and all that other stuff, and talking, and Cortana now Cortana is not the essential assistant that they wanted to compete with Alexa,
because they don't know what they want to do.
Yeah,
you know what, you said it
now
best,
Cortana is just a side piece, and searches its own thing. Now Cortana's not important anymore. That's what they do.
How much you invested in Microsoft with these other things? I was like, dude, you believe in their products and they let you down.
I have my badge for Microsoft Insider Device Night. I got invited to the Device Night. I'm not a YouTuber. I'm not no friggin' work for Windows Central and I'm the wrong Jez. I don't work for Windows Central. I am just a person that listens to. I'm a consumer. And when you tell me shit's going to work and this is the one ecosystem, I'm going to get involved. Like right now, this holiday was all about Amazon and Google. I bought Google. I have Google Home Assistants all over my house. And it all works with my Hue. It works with all this stuff. And Google, I'm behind the Google ecosystem right now because the way it integrates with each other. That's the promise that Microsoft had for me back with Windows everywhere and Windows 10 and your Xbox and your PC are one family now and all this other stuff. And then they just give me shit like, oh, Sunset Overdrive is not cross-play. Game Pass is just on Xbox. Oh, you got to pay on this console. Oh, these games, you buy it here, but it's not on the Windows 10 store. It's all over the place. And it's like, wait a second. It's so fragmented right now. Like, what happened? Like, it should be all one unified system, and it's not. And that's the problem I have with them. They try to sell you this unified one world, but when you look at it, it's not unified. It's broken. Well, why is this game not cross-buy? Oh, the dev chose not to do it. It's like
and so they made it. They didn't make it a standard for some things, but then they made it a standard for some others.
They put it as an option, and it's an option that nobody's using.
Yeah, that's the problem. The consumer. It's kind of like it confuses the consumer. Like the going rumor now is.
I'm not confused. The thing is,
I'm talking about the casual consumer. The casual consumer, like like if they come out next generation with like they were saying 3 or 2 or 4 consoles and they don't make it clear as what does, that's gonna confuse people, you know.
Well, that's
And
what
I
happened
think
with
that
I said that on my last video. That's what happened with the Xbox One, was that they were like, well, you could trade your games in at select retailers and get the digital code, and only these people will put, and people jumped all over this going, what do you mean? I need to check in. What do you, and people jumped all over because
yep,
Microsoft gave too many options. And that's what I mean. Sony just said, hey, this is how you trade a game. And that was like the most famous video that made them win the console,
yes,
the mind share, because people are like, I just want to just play games. I just want to give
I
my
just want to
game
play
to my
games.
friend.
That's it.
And what is
Yes.
Microsoft doing now with the next generation? Well, we're gonna have 2 SKUs, and this is all rumor again. But we're
Right,
gonna have
right,
2
right.
SKUs. But our game, like, how are you gonna sell an Xbox Scarlet when the games are releasing on the Scarlet could be streamed to your phone or could be played on the next current generation platforms? Like, who's gonna be lining up to
Mhm.
say, I gotta get this next? You need to have Scarlet exclusives. Is that gonna happen? I can't see them making a game for a system that doesn't, for a family of devices. The more confusion. How can you make it? How can you buy this big studio and say you make a game for a console install base that does not exist?
Yeah,
And
you
I,
can't.
and I think, I don't know who said this. I don't know if it was Porter Rock or Zaire, or somebody was saying it. It's like, I can't see Phil Spencer walking into Satya's office and going, all right, well, the initiative is making this amazing game. I only want to put it on Xbox Scarlet. Okay. I can't see Satya going, well, oh, yeah, that's great, because that's not the message that Microsoft's been saying.
Nope,
Microsoft's like,
not
I
at all.
want everybody to play this game from the initiative. I want everybody to play. So let's put that game on iPhone, on Android. Let's make it streamed on those things. Let's make it, oh, and first of all, not even on iPhone, because right now, iPhone doesn't allow that stuff. So they just said Android
Yep.
phones. So that's another battle that they got to fight. But streaming to Android phones, and oh, what about all those Xbox One family? Oh, we got to make sure that they could play it too. Like, how are you going to leave a 40 million install base just sitting there? Like,
Oh,
Satya's
man.
gonna be like, I want everybody to play that initiatives game, put it everywhere.
Such
So
a
then the
confusing
thing is that
generation.
who is going to line up and say, I gotta buy a Scarlet to play this game? And to Microsoft, that's not important. But you want to know what? To us as gamers, that's important. That is important, because the thing is that if nobody goes and buys the Scarlet console, then developers are not going to make games for their console. They're going to make games for the console that's selling the most. And that means that Microsoft's going to take a passive approach with next generation consoles, and Sony and Nintendo are going to double down on, you got to buy the Spider-Man console to play Spider-Man. You got to play God of War console. You got to play the Switch to play. You got to buy a Switch for Smash. You got to
Yep.
buy these games you got to buy these consoles to play these games. So when you go out there and buy those consoles, the developers now are looking and going, wow, NPD winning it. Okay, wow. Just like what shitty Cliffy B said back when he was getting attacked for
Mhm.
why his game wasn't on Xbox. He's like,
Yeah,
look at the install base. I don't have a big team. I got to put it on the
yeah.
one that's selling the most.
And
He
I mean,
said
it
it.
made sense to
That's
him.
how developers think. You're not going to invest all your work and all your hard-earned money and go put it on the worst performing platform. If
Yep.
you have an install base of 90 million and an install base of 30 million, you're not going to tell your whole workforce and go, guys, we'll have 30 million people that could potentially buy our game. That's
No.
why Microsoft incorporated PC, because they're trying to justify the low install base of the console. They're like, well, wait a second, developer. If you make a game for the 30 million Xbox people, it also is open to all those trillion of people on Windows 10.
Mhm.
So that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to take the dev and going, look at all these people. Now, with that in mind, look at Forza Horizon 4. Look at Gears of War 4. Have those games are brought to an install base that's beyond the PlayStation. Are they dominating
Yep.
any sales charts? Is Forza
Nope.
4 number one? Forza 4 is available now to more install base because of PC and Xbox than the 99 million PlayStations out there. It is on Windows 10 devices. You could go, any PC that you buy is a potential customer for Forza Horizon 4. And digital
Yes.
and physical are counted in NPDs. Why the hell is Forza Horizon 4 not number one? It is a multi-platform game on an install base larger than any other competitor. Why is Forza? It just shows, because even though you put something somewhere, you need to make it, people need to want to buy it. So you could tell me that I'm going to put all my games to 2 billion people. Well, guess what? 2 billion people might be able to see your game, but are they going to play it? And that's your job, to make the game the best game it could be, and to make sure that people want to play that game. Because it might be great to put it on 2 billion people can play this game. But devs see that stuff. That's why you haven't seen a lot of cross-buy with Windows 10. And remember the UWP. You make a game for Windows, it just works on Xbox.
But this year,
one day, it's on Xbox. One day. What happened?
I'm going to tell you something. This year has been the year of, and because I know you're going to talk about the year and reviewing games of this year, but there's a lot of things in this year and in past years, but this year especially that people made a big, like we call it fake outrage about, and then we don't hear about it anymore. What happened to the whole crossplay thing? We talked about it. Then when the crossplay happened, nobody's talking about any other game being crossplay.
Oh my god, that was the thing.
It's a lot of fake outrage. It's a lot of people, and I believe it's lopsided.
It's false hype.
It's lopsided because you got one side is fighting for it harder because they don't have certain things, and the other side is like, well, we don't care. Like me as a person who plays games and I have all the systems, do I care about crossplay? Not really. If it happens, I'm cool with it. If it doesn't happen, I'm cool with it. It doesn't matter to me. Why? Because people say, well, and here's what I say. People say, well, it'd be cool if, my brother that owns a Nintendo Switch in this state, I could play with him on an Xbox. And I'm like, well, the reason a lot of people who primarily play, for example, me, I primarily play on my PlayStation. Why don't I really care about it? Because I know that all my friends are playing it on PlayStation. I could care less. So, of course, the people who are like, we don't have a big install base are going to care even more. So, Nintendo, even though they're doing well, and Microsoft,
what about the pressure you just said about Smash Brothers?
Right. Exactly.
Everybody was playing it. You clicked. That's the advertisement. All your friends were on it, so you had to go buy it. But Phil Spencer doesn't see that as growth. And the thing is like, I understand where Phil's going. It sounds great on paper, but if you look at the facts and you look at what's actually happening, traditional console approach is dominating gaming right now.
Yes,
it still is. And PlayStation with the traditional, we make games for the console. You go buy the console, you play those games.
Yes.
It sells. People,
the freaking Switch is outselling the PS4 in Japan in its home territory. That just tells you something about it. That just tells you that people, if you give them good games, people are going to buy it.
Two platforms are doing this. The one that's losing is the one that's trying to muddy the water and say, well, we're everywhere, and you can play us here sometimes and over here and on the toilet bowl, and they're the one that's scrambling around trying to get their messaging straight. And the problem is that they need to look at what the hell they're trying to do, because right now all they're doing is providing a bunch of random ass bullshit options out there, and they're hoping that basically what they're doing. One system, the two systems are doing know what bait they're fishing. Let's do a fishing analogy.
Oh yeah.
We got a PlayStation and a Nintendo. They know what they're looking for. They know what kind of fish are in that pond. They know the bait that they're going to put on their lure to grab that fish. So they go, okay, this fish likes this type of fly. We're going to go fly fishing. We're going to put this fly, throw it in there, and they like this type of bait. And they're pulling those guys out one by one and have a big bucket of fish behind them because they're targeting that fish. Microsoft is taking the fucking bait box and just throwing it into the pond and going like, woo, here's all worms and flies. Throw all
eat fish, eat.
Eat fish. And then they're sitting there on the edge of the fucking on the pond, and they're counting how many fish are eating. They're like 1, 2, 3. All right, guys, we got 20 fish eating. Well, guess what, Microsoft? Look behind you. How many fish you got in that fucking basket? You got 0 in that basket. But the fish are eating out there. That's great. but you got nothing in your basket. And then Sony and Nintendo take their basket full of fish and go home.
Yeah,
because
true.
And that's what Microsoft's doing. They think that just taking the bucket, woo, throw it into the water.
And you know, they weren't like that last generation. No. They weren't even like that the first generation. They've completely lost where they it's like I feel like they're like Nintendo was. Like with Nintendo, I kind of felt like with the Wii, like they completely they struck gold with the Wii and they tried to do it again and they didn't have good messaging and it messed up. The same thing with the Xbox One. They struck gold with the 360. They tried to do the same thing again. They thought they were going to eat Sony's lunch, and they didn't realize. You know what Microsoft didn't realize, and I always say this, and I say it with complete honesty to myself, is that Microsoft didn't realize that their fan base wasn't as big as they thought it really was. They didn't realize Sony's fan base is the biggest fan base outside of Nintendo. Yeah.
It feels like, well, I said about the power. He thinks that the Xbox fan base is satisfied, and why wouldn't he? Wherever I don't understand that whole philosophy of thinking. Phil. He walks around with a friggin' entourage. If he thinks he's a celebrity, he walks around and goes, I'm just and everybody's like clapping for him. He didn't say shit, and they're clapping for him like he's some sort of friggin' celebrity. The thing is that he thinks
like he did something great.
Yes, he's like, I've given you consoles. Like he thinks the Xbox people are satisfied. That's why he's like, oh, I got to work on PC. I got to fix PC. They're like Phil Spencer, XO18. You got all these guys, Xbox event. What are you going to do next? Where are you going next? And he goes,
we got to fix the Windows Store.
I got to fix the Windows Store. We got a lot of work to do on Windows.
Yeah.
I'm like, but then when you say that, people are like, oh yeah, they're one family, they're one ecosystem. It's like they're not one ecosystem because there's actually a favoritism because they were making games just for that ecosystem. Why the hell is Gears Tactics a PC exclusive? That makes no sense. It makes no sense.
And this goes back to my whole reasoning as to why, because I explained it. I was on press start, and this goes back to my whole reason why I think me as a as a person that wants to do podcasting, it's so much easier to talk about gaming as a whole than just one brand, especially a brand that's so especially a brand that's getting destroyed. Like it's losing. It's like, and so me saying that, people say, "Oh, well, you're," and that's and I told the truth. I said, "Look, I'm on an Xbox podcast, and I got a lot of feedback from people who are diehard Xbox fanboys." Let me clarify, they're fanboys. So when I would say anything fact about Microsoft or just even give my opinion about the Xbox, they would get pissed at me and say, "Oh, why are you even on the show?" It's about because they wanted me to speak positive and wanted me to freaking just be I'm like, I'm not about to do that. And the reason I can't do that because my heart is like, man, I want this console to be better. I want them to push Sony and Nintendo. I want to be able to play all three of my platforms equally. But guess what? I've been playing Gears of War for the last how many years now? And I've been playing the multiplayer because that's all I gotta play.
It's been a long time, 2 years since we got Gears of War, Halo, like not even DLC or anything about it. Like it is. This has been so bad.
It's sad, man. Because when you tell people that, they're like, "We got games. We're not talking about the
games. You got we're not talking about third party."
Yeah, we know you got the same games as Sony. We're talking about the exclusives that are whether it's one and done or whether it's we don't have the same quality of games that we're getting on.
Why did you buy an NES for Super Mario Brothers? Like, why did you buy a Xbox 360?
You bought a Genesis. You bought a Genesis for Sonic. What's up?
You know, you bought an Xbox 360 for Gears of War or Halo. Why'd you buy an Xbox Halo 2? Halo 1. Xbox was made because of LAN parties and Halo. Yes, the other games were there, but Halo was it. Why'd you buy a PlayStation 2? Guess what? GTA. Yeah, maybe you bought it for all those other ones. GTA 3 was like the reason why everybody went out and bought a friggin' PlayStation 2. And it was only on there. It works. You make, and the thing is like I've said this so many times before. When people go, well, no, Xbox doesn't do exclusives anymore. The thing is, and shout out the cycle. What's up, man? I know no more Xbox exclusives to the consoles, but you got to look at it as how successful would that model be? Because it's not just gaming. It's everywhere.
It's everywhere, right?
Just look at Netflix, Bird Box, which was great.
Yeah.
I watched it.
Good.
That is
Cool
that is an exclusive to Netflix. All right, people hear the game, movie. Oh, I gotta sign up to Netflix and watch that movie. Hulu has its.
Everybody's talking about it.
Everybody has exclusives. Everybody has exclusive things. Hey, can I use Google Home to buy stuff off of Alexa, off Amazon? No, you can't. If you want to buy stuff with your voice off of Amazon, you need to buy an Alexa.
Yep.
But guess what? Can I watch the YouTube app on the Amazon? No, you can't. You could use a web browser to watch YouTube on Fire TV. Like the thing is, like everybody has exclusives. If you make a device, you got to in this noisy world when there's so many options, you got to make yours stand out. And God of War, I'm going to tell you right now, Last of Us 2, you'd see God of War. Last of Us 2 is going to blow the fucking roof off of video gaming. And I played Last of Us. I think it's an amazing game. But I'm going to tell you right now, the potential of Last of Us 2, whenever that thing comes out, it is going to create the waves upon waves of gaming. And I'm telling you, you want to talk about media bias? Stay the fuck off the internet when Last of Us 2 comes out, because everybody is going to be and with good reason, that game is amazing. So if you do not like hearing about Sony games being the God's gift to gaming, which, sometimes I think, things do get pushed, like, they do, but they have a reputation. That's the thing. Sony is building this reputation that they make the best first party games that people want to play and win.
They're doing what Nintendo's been doing for years. Like Nintendo's been kind of that.
They have this reputation. So if Sony puts out a dud, like say if Days Gone is a 68,
I'm hoping it isn't.
Jump out the window going, "Oh my God, Sony's done." You want to know why? Because right behind that will come Death Stranding and Last of Us 2, and I don't even know that.
And Neo and Dreams.
They got other games. That's why when you look at Detroit, you're like, yeah, Detroit did pretty well, but like it wasn't the level of God of. But when you have that balance, when you have a God of War and a Spider-Man, you could justify having some not hits and just bad. Yeah, that game was a dud. That didn't hit right and stuff like that. But when you're constantly hitting duds, Sea of Thieves, State of Decay 2, like State of Decay 2 is non-existent. Sea of Thieves, I still see people talking about it. But State of Decay 2, man, that thing went boop, bleh. Like, that is just boof.
Yeah, and that was it.
And then you got Forza Horizon. But Forza Horizon, again, it's not a universally appealing game. It's a great game. But the thing is that it's a sequel to a game that was already great. Like, the Forza Horizon 3 was the breakout because Forza Horizon really didn't have the name. I thought Forza Horizon 4 should have did more than Forza Horizon 3. I thought Forza Horizon 4 was a polished Forza Horizon 3 with more online focus. And I think Forza Horizon 4 should have went bigger with that one.
Yeah, and I think whatever they come out with next will blow the lids off of people.
And I want to
next.
Yeah. Gears of War 5. Like Gears of War 5 now should not. I'm going to really look at Gears of War 5. Because Gears of War 5 has two potential challenges. One, I've said before, is that if they said that Kate's the main protagonist. If Kate is going to be, if you're going to see Marcus in the first scene with his son, and they go, "All right, Kate, go do your journey," and then they leave, and then you just take Kate and random dude number 2, and you just go run around and just shoot new enemies and do this stuff and Kate's story. I could see people going, this feels like more of an expansion than Gears 5.
Right. Because we've had games like that where they felt like they could have been just expansions and they didn't really need to come out with it. Right.
And people are like, well, what happened to Marcus? And they're like, well, stay tuned to Gears 6. And it's like, well, wait a second. Well, why wasn't Gears 5? Why wasn't this like Gears 4 Kate's journey? You know? Mm-hmm. And it came out
kind of like a side thing, kind of like Judgment was.
Just like similar to what Lost Legacy was to Uncharted 4.
Oh yeah.
So that's good. 5 going to be basically like Lost Legacy to like, well, you know what I mean? That's just the thing in. Thanks, man. But like, yeah, like that's the challenge that Gears 5 has, that it could come off as that. But the other challenge is the multiplayer. And if Gears 5, what do you think Gears 5 needs to have for the multiplayer? And then I'll tell you what I think.
I tell you that it kind of needs to take the model that Gears 4 took, where you don't have to buy maps, you don't have to have a season pass, all that stuff needs to be. And I'm gonna tell you why it needs that, because if it's gonna be in Game Pass, they need to come off with that whole feeling of there's no season pass, you just play it. It's kind of like, because like Gears 4, as long as one person owns it, everybody plays. And I just kind of feel like the whole season pass thing, I think, is eventually going to go away little by little with certain games. Like certain games just won't do season passes, but there has to be some element to the multiplayer that really changes. They have to change that whole element of it's just a shotgun only game. That's all it's known for. It's like you could have did that in Gears 4 and just freaking made it in expansions. Like, because if it's only a shotgun game, like, you see what I'm saying? It's like you gave me a shotgun game with That's because I play Call of Duty, and I think that Call of Duty's, with the exception of maybe Infinite Warfare and Black Ops 3, Call of Duty has evolved in some ways, in some ways not. Because like I think Advanced Warfare to me is absolutely one of the most evolved Call of Duties, even though a lot of people say, "Oh no, it wasn't," but it did things that no other Call of Duty or no other shooter at the time was doing. It really was. If you really look at the Call of Duty history of games, like Advanced Warfare, out of all the Call of Duties, did something totally different than any other Call of Duty or even shooter did with the movement.
They can't just say like we took the shotgun out, because people will go crazy.
No, they have to do something. They have to do something more than take a shotgun out. They have to give you something in the game that says, you know what? You're coming back to the multiplayer. This is what we've done. We know you guys love shotgun, but we've added X weapon here, and X weapon here, and this weapon here. We've added throwable axes or throwable knives or whatever. Just give you something that's new. Because I think with Gears franchise, everybody goes, the shotgun is it's a shotgun gun game. It's a corridor shooter. As long as you can get behind that cover and you can get out and you can respond quick enough and get your shot off with a shotgun, you can kill somebody in one hit, basically. So they have to do something different. They have to.
Like and I agree. Like what they need to do is, my thing is, like, for Gears 5, they need to make Gears 4 was a proof of concept. I felt Gears 4 was too much of just like, hey, we added a couple of weapons and a new enemy that looks the same as the Locust.
It was a safe game.
It was very safe. It was very safe. Gears 5 I think they need to make it bigger. Like, they need to have, I thought, like, capture the Brumac. Like, we can't just have a couple of game modes. Like, we need like just like what Warzone added to Halo, we need that energy for Gears. I say put vehicles in Gears of War. That will like balance the whole of not using the shotgun. Like, if you have big open levels and maybe there's machines or enemies running around, locusts running around, or whatever they are, the infected guys running around, the swarm running around the map, and you're trying to fight the other guy. Like, I don't know, like, I'm not a game developer, but I'm expecting bigger and better, like next level Gears of War, like bigger.
Right.
Maybe you have a map and then halfway through the ground erupts and a whole bunch of things come out of the ground and you got to fight those. Or I say capture the Brumac. Like, each team has a Brumac. You got to go over there, grab their Brumac, and bring it across to some other level or something like that. Like, or have like
something is very, very different.
Big. And that's why I'm be looking real close to Gears 5, because they're really pushing the narrative. They're really pushing Kate, which we already learned on Halo 5 what happened when you try to show me Locke when I really want Master Chief.
Right.
And they're doing it again. They're like, here's Kate when you really want to play Marcus and JD in the interaction with the dad. I think this would have been a perfect Gears 5 would have been a perfect kind of Empire Strikes Back moment. Whereas if you play as JD, you're like the four of them, and Marcus Phoenix dies.
Yeah.
They kill, or the Queen kills Marcus Phoenix and he's dead. And now you stay tuned to Gears 6 to get your vengeance back on them. This would have been the perfect Empire Strikes Back. But if you're telling me that Kate's the main protagonist, so what are we going to do? Figure out that Kate's transforming into a locust? Like fucking The Fly or something like that? Like, And random dude number 2 that she's on the venture with, she kills him. Who knows? I don't know who he is. He's another guy.
Random dude.
She's not even going with JD. She's going with random dude. I'm thinking, what's his name? I think the guy from Spartacus is charging too much money for JD's voice. They probably said, you know what? We're gonna put JD in the background. We're gonna take Kate. You run over there. You're gonna do Kate. Oh, I think it's what's the name now? He makes a lot of money.
Go over there.
Yeah, he's an actor.
We got something else.
Yeah, like it's interesting. Kate's story is interesting, but the thing is like just like Gears 4 started though, where you sort of have this group of people that Kate and her mom, like Marcus didn't even know why he was like, who? I'm going after finding Kate's mom? Like who's Kate?
Why?
Get out of my house. Like it's like all of a sudden Marcus is on this adventure with his son who hasn't talked to him, and we're finding my girl's mom. He's like, huh?
Wait, did we even really get a backstory to him and like his son growing up? I can't remember.
No, we had no clue who the DBs were. Okay. The robots. Apparently, the COG are like this random. I don't even know the COG reverse. Who knows? They probably want you to read some bullshit books or some fucking comics or some shit. Like, to figure out what was going on. But I have no like. They didn't really explain who those robots were. Who the lady was who was chasing you down with the computer face. And like, why was he not with the COG? I didn't understand that. And he was part of this whole thing with the resistance, with the husband and the wife, and the mom was the leader of this group, who was Kate's mom, and she gets kidnapped. And now it's like, let's go find her. Dad, I need your help. And it's like, we're ready to go. And now it's like, let's talk about Kate. Like, if that's the case, then why don't you say that Marcus had a daughter named Kate, and at least we're tied into the main character. But Kate right now is just some random lady that you went to go. The whole point of Gears 4 is finding her mom.
Right.
And then now you lose Kate. So they have a challenge going on. Like if you're really interested in the story and all this other stuff, I have a fear that Gears 5 reviewers might not go like this should be Gears 4.5 because Marcus Phoenix and his son, they're doing their own thing. Like I hope it bounces back and forth. It didn't look like it. It looks like you're going on a journey into
the story element is good. That's what I really want from it. I want to because Gears 4. I'm still playing through the I'm right at the end. And I'm like, I don't even care.
That thing. I'm telling you.
I'm not right at the end. I just don't even care I don't care about the story. I'm just doing it for it. I'm at this point. I'm just doing it just to complete it and say I completed it and get some more achievements. I don't really care about that story. Like that story is not interesting to me. Like Gears 1, I was like, holy crap. I was interested. Generally interested. Like, oh, this is dope. I don't care about that story in Gears 4 like at all. I don't care. No, I fell in love with the story in part 2, and I was like, man, this story is amazing. Like, it was a great story, but Gears 4, I just have no interest in that story.
Yeah,
it's not because of graphics. It's just I don't care about the story, and I'm right at the end, and I'm just like, I'll eventually beat it, but who cares?
Yeah, there's nothing to hold you for. I know. Like I know, and that's the and the thing is, like, and Bao says he didn't like JD, and the thing is that they didn't give you an opportunity. Why would you make JD Marcus's son? And I thought that was the best act. Like when you see your dad and Marcus is back, and you're like, oh shit, let's do this. Like this is awesome.
Yeah, he stands up. I was like, that was cool. That was awesome. Yeah, that was awesome. I was like, okay,
I think it's great. But like they didn't give you an opportunity to like who JD was or anything like that. Like you didn't even know he had a son. The thing is, it's so weird that if they planned on making Kate the lead protagonist in Gears 5, why would you even introduce Marcus's son? Is that a way to get Marcus Phoenix in Gears at all? Like I just don't understand. Like if JD's growth was the purpose of Gears. Like if JD, like, is he gonna be his dad or is he gonna be defiant? Like his story arc. Then why are you just gonna stop that? Now that's my fear because I'm not sitting here lighting the incense, talking to frogs, hopes and dreams. Like I trust them. They're gonna make the best game ever. Hopes and dreams. Just give Xbox a chance. I'm gonna make the shirt for next year. 2019 is gonna be just give Microsoft a chance, and you're gonna wear that shirt. I'm just commenting on what I saw. And what I saw and what I heard was Kate's the main protagonist. This is Kate's story. And Kate's going a random dude to the snow and is going to ice skate. Like fucking, the what is that movie?
The slide across ice. She looked like when I saw that whole thing of her sliding across the ice, the first thing I thought with that whole boat sail and everything, I thought Waterworld. I don't know why. I just thought that it looked like Waterworld. I was like, man, why? I was like, this reminds me of Waterworld, which I'm hoping that the game is good. I mean, it's one of the games I know that I'll probably.
Like, I think it's gonna look.
Yeah, I know I'll buy it.
That's amazing looking. Like that.
It's not something I'll Game Pass with Crackdown. That's something I want to Game Pass.
But that's the other thing, Frog, man. That you imagine that game of that cal, like Gears coming
to Game Pass and actually being
one.
If it's good, then it's kind of like, damn, you shot yourself in the foot because I think they could have just did so much better.
Game Pass toll, man. We got that Game Pass toll. Gears 5, think about it, will be day and date available for only $10. If you could find it cheaper, fuck it. But for $10, only $10, you could play Gears of War, Gears 5.
That's crazy.
How is on Game Pass?
That's crazy. It
will be on Game Pass. It is. They already said it's on the Game Pass lineup cycle. It's there. It's just amazing. The concept of taking that game and then on top of that, man.
That's the Dawn. Yeah,
I know. Yeah. Oh man, that's Game Pass. That's Cheap Shots under the titty twister.
Yeah.
It's like you gotta find it. We got everything.
That's Phil Spencer. We got everything.
We got everything. We got cheating games. We got good games. We got AAA games. We got shitty games. We got indie games.
Oh man!
If we don't have it, you don't want it. But like just the Gears 5, like I just think that day and date. Oh man. And that was crazy as I saw on Twitter as a side note. Like I saw on Twitter like the hype of Halo 2. We got smelly games. We got
smelly games.
We gotta, oh man, that's why I think it's so funny. Like, and I tell you, Game Pass on a side note, it is really amazing how much energy they're putting behind Game Pass, but the games that they're putting on them are really like it's really amazing. Like they keep adding more and more games to it. So I just think it's going to be even bigger next year. Like,
I think it's good. I think it's good for a person who didn't invest in pretty much the 360 or this generation. Because like for me, it doesn't work for me because I invested heavily in 360
and you had them already.
I invested, and I have them. So like for me, like I own an Xbox One X, and I'm like, wow, a lot of the games in Game Pass I have, even the backward compatible ones, I have them because I invested pretty good in 360. So I'm not mad at the fact that the Sony. I really wish.
No, I think it's great. I think Game Pass is great.
Yeah, I think Game Pass is cool. I think Game Pass is really cool.
And it's great for
I just don't want them to. I don't want them to focus so much the fact that they have Game Pass now that their game quality goes down. Because I look at games like Sea of Thieves and State of Decay, and I'm like, if this is your quality of games, and Crackdown, and how I feel is like. Forza is kind of an anomaly in Game Pass. Like I think that Forza is a proven game that's been developed. Crackdown will be a game that I will really say will really show me to some extent of their first party studios putting games in Game Pass. Because so far, with the exception of Forza, I don't think the games that are exclusive in Game Pass that Microsoft are making are really that great. No, they're not that great. Now, some of the games they have that are third party are cool. Like I played Ash, and I think Ash is a cool game. That below game, I don't understand it. I just don't get it. So I deleted it. I was like, I don't have time for this. Ash is cool. It's Dark Souls light, but once again, like I thought that game was like a $19 game, and I was like, this is a $40 title. I was like, why would they try to charge it? And it felt like an indie game that was just like a Dark Souls kind of like light clone. And I think that their problem is they don't really. It's kind of like going back to what you said. Is like one thing they have a problem with this generation, which they didn't have last generation. They don't know how to reach the consumer that they want, and they don't know what's consumer they want. They're just like, this throw a whole bunch of stuff like you said out there, throw a whole bunch of chunk in the lake and see what bites. throw a whole bunch of chunk in there and see what bites.
Yeah, we'll get shocked eventually. We'll get some shocks around eventually. We just throw it in the ocean. Just throw a bunch of shit.
Yeah, because I'm just like at this point with me, like last generation, I was really invested in Xbox 360, and then I eventually got a PS3 because the freaking Uncharted brand. I just kept seeing that Uncharted commercial. I was like, I gotta get this system. And then and for me, like last generation, I played both systems, both consoles, pretty equally, right? For the most part. at the end, I started playing more PlayStation because they had more exclusive the last couple of years, last 3 years there. But I would play both consoles, and then right into the next generation, I knew I wanted to buy both, right? And so I bought both day one. So I'm definitely not a fanboy. I'm not that guy. But what happened with me is at the beginning, I was like, ooh, Microsoft has this Dead Rising and they have this game. And it goes back to like what was exclusive and what wasn't, right? So if I just go based off of, what their exclusive library is, and I always, just say, okay, I can pretty much tell you what was exclusive and what wasn't. They didn't get a lot of stuff until later because, they didn't get the Quantum Breaks, which I didn't, and the State of Decays, the Sea of Thieves, the Cupheads, the Oris, and all that stuff. They didn't get that till later. That those games are later. Those, the only thing they really had at launch was I think Forza 5 and Rise. It was really totally exclusive. And then later they got the Master Chief Collection and the Gears remake or whatever remaster and Rare Collection. But I just look at that and I'm like, man, Sony just came out within that after that first year and that second year, and it just came out with all these bangers, like game after game. I think about it. You know what? Let me tell you something. You remember? I don't know. I remember when Until Dawn came out. Nobody knew how big that game was gonna be, and I freaking slept on it. And I was like, let me go buy it. And I went to the store, and it was sold out. And that game, it was a phenom. Like nobody knew that game was coming. I was like, this game is pretty cool. And I eventually bought it digital, but I was like, wow, why did I sleep on this? And that's what, I like the generation. I love the generations where you have two computers that have the same third-party game, but what really makes them so different amongst each other is their first-party IPs that you're like, oh, there's the Halo. Because, if you look at Microsoft's repertoire this generation, Halo, Gears, and Forza is basically what they're riding on. And even in last generation, like I said,
it is amazing. The Xbox One generation, it's like besides those three games, there was not anything that they could have like that. And that, I think you said this before, where like with Nintendo, and I don't know Nintendo because they kind of do the same like Mario Kart in this one. You got your staples, but like what Sony did this generation is it couldn't have come at a worse time for Microsoft because Sony had created, they made studios that were always just kind of in the background, like Guerrilla and even Insomniac, like with Resistance and stuff. They made them now like with Spider-Man and with Horizon Zero Dawn. Now these guys are like, what you guys are making next? Like we really didn't care about Insomniac when they were making, even the Ratchet and Clanks. Like I know they were pretty good, but like. Still,
they were okay, but nobody really saw them until they.
And even Resistance, Resistance games, and it was like okay. And the same thing with Killzone. Like nobody was hankering for Killzone 4, but like now it's like Horizon. And the next.
Everybody's like, "What are you doing next, Gorilla?"
And then the same thing goes with the potential now for Ghost of Tsushima for the developer that makes Sucker Punch what was that game? I'm forgetting it.
You're talking about
Infamous. Like, Infamous 1, Infamous 2. Infamous is a good game.
And I like the Infamous series, but I mean now I'm kind of like, wow.
But Sony
I'm looking forward to
they grew their IP, they grew new IP, and they made their first party development now have this kind of reputation again that is going to carry them into next generation. Microsoft still has yet to create a studio that's going to do that besides 343, which I feel that Halo has kind of been dipping a little bit since 343 took over Halo. Like I think Halo Reach was the pinnacle. Halo 3 was
I think Halo is a good franchise. I just don't think it has the appeal because you have so many shooters out there that can do.
Well, that's the other problem that Microsoft has is that their first party now is making games that compete with what third party is relying on. Games as a service, online. Like the thing is, the problem that you have with an online game is that you gotta hit it while it's hot. You know what I mean? Or you got to give content that people want to come back to. The thing is that you could play God of War 5 years from now. It's going to be the same experience. And if you never played it, you're going to have that amazing experience. Like you see people today playing God of War going, oh my God. And you're like, I remember that back when I played it in April. A game like that a story game doesn't lose its luster or have a hit, like a time to hit it. You could play it whenever you want. The problem is that if you missed the Sea of Thieves boat when everybody was playing, like now it's like now you got the specialist there. Like that whole audience has gone on playing other things, and you can't be playing 2 online games at once back and forth. These games require a lot of dedication to it and investment. Like it's real hard. I can tell you from bouncing around between Call of Duty and Battlefield, just playing those two, trying to bounce back and forth. Like
that's
it's
hard
to jump between those. So when you have your first party making Halo old online, Gears online, the only people that are going to stick around really after the initial rush is the hardcore people. Everybody else has moved on. So the thing is that you need to you're competing with what everybody else is doing. So Microsoft is fighting with multiplayer mindshare. That's why Sony's finding success in just making a game that
and letting their third parties just do the multiplayer.
Yeah, and make third party balance on multiplayer. Now, agreed. Like I never really Uncharted multiplayer was all right and stuff like that. Then they can say, why you pay for online? Well, you pay for online to play the multiplats, I guess, on PlayStation. Like Sony really never made amazing multiplayer games. Every single one they did kind of didn't hit.
With the exception of maybe SOCOM. But
that's SOCOM, Mag. Remember Mag when they were trying to massive online?
Mag was sold before its time. If Mag came out now, it would be big, but Mag sold before its time. That game was such a before its time kind of game.
But I like the balance of it. The thing that I look at it as is that I like that they could give me these amazing narrative games that maybe will have a multiplayer component, but then you got your Call of Duty, you got your multiplats to balance out the lack of multiplayer that comes from the single player. Then you got the VR. Like it's all under one roof of that's giving me options. Like that's giving me everything. But when somebody's like, well, we're making service games and we're making service games, so's Ubisoft and so's this, and then I'm like, oh, and then you can play your games anywhere and play this, like that is confusing options. Those are not clear cut options. Like I got VR, you got single player or like narrative driven amazing type games.
No, you have options.
You got those are options because now I can play anything I want all under one roof. I don't have to be like, am I playing Sea of Thieves? Because you see people like, are you playing Sea of Thieves tonight? Are you going to play Call of Duty? Are you going to do this? You can't be in multiple places. And that was always the problem I had with when I was playing online with my friends and stuff. We would always jump to the next game. I would always jump to the next online hotness, and my friends would just kind of stick around like, oh, we're playing Call of Duty tonight. And I'm like, yo, man, it's March. Why are we still playing Call of Duty? Like, you know what I mean? Let's put the new.
They found a reason to keep you there. They're like, oh, we got new maps, and we got to do this, and we got this. So they found a reason.
Though, like then they would only buy the first map pack. And like, I'm not buying any more map packs, and it's like,
I think that's why Call of Duty did that whole buy the season pass or not.
Well, you either own it or money though. That's the thing. Like, but the thing is that Microsoft is kind of competing with what they're offering, what their third party is offering, which is kind of it's a challenge to stay relevant when your game may not, and that's where your game being a 68 really hurts. Like Sea of Thieves being a 68 is not going to drive that on. Like this is the hotness you need to play. Get your online on here. You know what I mean? That's why your games need to be better than your competitors because better than your third party because you want to have that mind share. But I think Game Pass is the fall shoot. Like if you're on a trapeze and you got the rescue underneath you, that's what Game Pass is. Game Pass is the catch all. So like whatever just falls off and stuff like that. The fact is that it's still living on Game Pass still gives a potential life, and somebody may check it out. My problem with the Game Pass thing is that I never wanted them to make games for that model and just games for that model. And when they said all their first party is going to Game Pass, and when Matt Booty says all our, we bought these studios to make, safety net, exactly, buddy boy, for games that may bomb. The thing is like when he says we bought these studios to make games for Game Pass, and then on XO18, he basically said like, well, I don't look and say we need a shooter, we need this. It's more of the developer relationship. I just like working with those people. So he doesn't have a checklist of genres that Microsoft needs to do. He just wants to work with that developer because of their vision or because of what they're doing. But the thing is that they're there to make games for Game Pass. And my thing is like, fine, make games, put them in Game Pass. But I have this eerie feeling, just like that nomenclature that you have for mobile games. Every mobile game has pop-up ads, timed content, and you know what I mean? There's all those hooks to keep you there. I'm hoping
Yep.
Microsoft finds a way to I know they got to put hooks on it. It's the inevitability of game development. Like they got to keep.
Yeah, because how do you keep that person in that vicious cycle
Yes.
of, okay, you want to pay every month?
But the
Because like for me, I'm like, I'll buy Gears of War, but I don't really want to subscribe to Game Pass. Only time I subscribe to Game Pass is,
well, they're gonna want you to
like,
play
is this a game I really
play Gears of War. They're not gonna want you to play Gears of War over the weekend and like over the month and then cancel Game Pass.
Yeah, how do you continuously get people to?
Yeah, so how do you do that? So the thing is that
I don't know. That's a hard question to
that Microsoft really needs to find out. They really need to figure out is how to make that stuff not as apparent as it is. Don't release Sea of Thieves with no content saying content is coming. And that's kind of your model of going like, well, this is how we're going to keep people engaged. We're just going to keep adding stuff to Sea of Thieves. But your initial one is a shell. You know what I mean? That's apparently a game made for a Game Pass. But you got to be sure that you got to find an art form to make it under the radar. You got to make it kind of not as apparent. I know you're going to make games for Game Pass, but you cannot make them as apparent as a pop-up ad going, you need to say subscribe, flashing, like, or you will lose your content. Like, Microsoft needs to find subtle ways of keeping people engaged. And, unfortunately, the Sea of Thieves model, I guess they think that that's okay, but it got killed. 68, yes, because people might not like pirates, but the problem is 68 was because it didn't have content. That's a problem.
Right.
Like, you got to look at
that's
why
really hurt that game.
It got
that hurt that game more than anything.
Yes,
the content.
What do you
where
do?
The content was shelled out and the lack of progression. That's what really hurt that game more than anything. Because I think if it had some progression and the content was better, people would have stuck with it longer. Because it was interesting graphically, and the gameplay wasn't as well. Like shooting in that game was horrible. The sword fights in that game was horrible. So I would have rather played Assassin's Creed. What's the new game they got coming out? The one with the pirates. I'm like, because it kind of made sense. Like, you want me to be a pirate? Like, let me be a pirate. Don't restrict me to saying, well, you can only fight like this. And I'm like, man, this is horrible.
Yeah, I know. It was above as of like 20. It was fun, like through the first day. Like it was funny, some of the stuff, but like,
it was a very free to play type game. I felt like it's something they could have did a free to play model, and they could have just sold little trinkets here and there because I'm like, the stuff that you got in the game for working through the game, putting all those in the game was the cosmetic stuff. Was like, really, this is what I get after getting all these chickens or capturing all these pigs or fighting all these skeletons. It's bad. It was bad.
A buddy boy says here, he goes, I think only quality games that will come from Microsoft Studios will be Halo, Gears, Forza, and the new studios will supplement those three pillars with AA and I totally agree. I think the only
I think the same thing.
Into the quality though, I think the initiative is built for a game of that Halo Gears level. I think those guys might deliver one of those, maybe like a single player narrative game or something along those lines, like an adventure game. And I think we'll inject Fable into that because I think Fable is, but again, Halo, Gears, Forza, and Fable, like, that's the thing. Like, it's basically, those four franchises are going to be the pillars as they always were.
Yep.
And those, because you got to look at it, those studios that they bought, those studios on. Even Ninja Theory, for the amazing game that Hellblade was, they are not at a level of Studios or like Insomniac. Or, like, they're not at that.
They're a decent studio, but no, they're not.
They made a great game, and they probably make a good game. But these studios that they bought are not like Obsidian might be the one in size that maybe could make a AAA game. But again, the other studios, they're kind of like they're not like the other problem I have too with these studio acquisitions that everybody keeps saying wait to 20 wait. They are still working on games that they are currently working on right now that are going to probably multiplat. Like like basically Obsidian still has to release their game and provide content before they even make an Xbox exclusive. Like that's the thing. Like Microsoft is not saying stop everything you're doing. You're making games just for us now. Microsoft is willing to follow out whatever they want. And the thing is like, I understand that thing, but you're talking years out, man, years. And I say this to today. Ooh, but like, I like the thing is that, Compulsion and Exile, the still head scratch. I agree, buddy boy. And also too, Undead Labs. Oh well, they're making State of Decay 3. Do we want a State of Decay 3 after 2? Like, if 3 is just going to be more 2, or is 3 going to be dedicated? Like, what is 3 going to be? Because State of Decay 2 really didn't do that much different from State of Decay 1. And it had the same glitches too. Like, and that Undead is just going to make State of Decay 3. I'm like, I think the IP is in a state of decay right now. Like, that you're going to make State of Decay 3. Like, I just don't know. I just don't know that they're just making, I think people said in the chat, they're just making basically Game Pass fodder. I think who said that? Somebody said Game Pass fodder. I think it was up there. Like it's just basically, I just don't know. And again, it's so much of I don't know. So I don't understand people having this confidence, because we saw what Microsoft did with Rare. We saw what Microsoft did with Silicon Knights. And you could tell me, oh, that was a previous regime. Oh my God. It's Microsoft, okay?
Yeah, still, yeah.
Look what they did with Rare. Look what they did with Silicon Knights. Look what they did. Like, just look what they did. Look what they did with Minecraft. Where's the 4K update? 2 years.
You know what? I want to ask that. I don't know where that is.
Like, what have they done with Minecraft? Like, they basically made another, and all these, and Bungie, they let go of Bungie. Look at 343 and what they did with Halo. And then the Coalition, they did a decent job with Gears 4, but Gears 4 wasn't the next gen Gears of War that we needed. When you look at God of War 3, and then you go look at God of War, that's when you're like, yes, this is the next generation of the IP that I like. You know what I mean? When I saw Halo 4 and I see Halo 5, I was like, who's Locke? What? Warzone was probably the last little bit of hope that I saw Microsoft actually doing something newer for the generation by adding AI to multiplayer. But like, that was it. Like, where's the next generation? Like, you got to make that leap. Like, yo, we can't just have the same. Like, we can't have remastered of 4. Like, we need and Gears 4 play very safe. And that's why I'm really looking at Gears 5. I'm hoping they don't just go crazy, AWOL, off the wall. Like, it's all about Kate. And everybody's asking about what happened to Marcus and his son and all this other stuff. And the multiplayer is like, we added some new crazy guns, and we also have some new maps and some crazy game mode named Oddball or something like that. And it's like, no, you need more than that. Gears 5 needs to be big. Like, that needs to have open. Like, it needs to be like, the multiplayer needs to be something revolutionary. We need next generation with the power of the X, the power of PC. Gears 5 needs to be like, yo, we got vehicles, we got maps that are blowing up, we got destructible environments, we got stuff just coming crazy, we got AI guys that just come out of the ground randomly. Like, we got Locust just running around. We basically merged Horde mode.
It needs to be something big. It needs to be.
And people go like, that's not Gears of War. It's like, you know what? You bought a $500 console. You should expect the best, right?
My only problem with next generation is if these studios don't deliver from all these acquisitions, if they can't deliver the games that people are really wanting, I don't know where that whole platform goes as far as exclusives. I don't think that they'll ever be able to generate or get back the audience that they want unless they do what they think they're doing now is do the whole, hey, you can play it on your TV, you can play it on your phone, you can, maybe that's the way they reach 2 billion gamers, because in Japan, they're big on streaming and travel and all that. Maybe because look at the Switch, so maybe Microsoft can do it that way, but maybe the home console space, maybe they do like Nintendo's like, we can't beat everybody in the home console space, so we'll create a hybrid. Maybe Microsoft is like, we can't beat Sony in the home console space anymore, so you know what, we'll do something completely different. And maybe Sony does their traditional way they're doing things, Nintendo keeps doing their hybrid system, and Microsoft is like, we're just going to go streaming, which I think they all will do streaming. But I think maybe Microsoft will be the first to really jump out there, because I just don't think right now you have a perfect blend of exclusives and third party on the Xbox platform. And I think that on the other two platforms. Nintendo obviously doesn't have a good enough third party, but they're getting them slowly but surely. But their first party is there, and Sony has a good blend of a variety of different first, second, whatever party. So it's kind of hard for them to compete, and they can't compete like they needed to go into this generation. And like I said, this next generation, they need to go into it like they did with the 360.
Well, they gotta be like, they gotta go this generation going like, yo, everything we said previous gen is all bullshit. Here's Scarlet exclusive.
Yes, screw this and screw that, screw cross buy, screw games everywhere, screw the because I just really and I don't like speaking about money in companies, but I just really, how much do they really make and generate as far as revenue with them putting games on PC and platform? Like, is their audience just as big? Like, are we buying? I don't think so.
It sounds great, but like, look at the sale. Like, look at what's happening. Look at what gamers like NPDs and the market and what people are finding interested in, even the game awards and things like look at what the industry and people are following. This whole model and gamers everywhere, and like fucking like Edge had a friggin' best games of 2013 on Xbox. They ran out of games after 2, and they said Game Pass.
Yeah, I saw that. And you know what? I agree with gameplays. God of War games like God of War and Red Dead have drawn the next generation blueprint. For games
linear and open world. It's exactly like it was a linear game.
When you've drawn a blueprint for games. Like, look at Red Dead, look at God of War, look at Spider-Man.
So many copies of the God of War model. Hub world and stuff like that.
They've drawn a model and said, look, this is how you do it. Now, if you don't want to do it like this, create your own way to do it. But look, the fact is they've drawn a model. You can just look. I think that Sony could have created some type of Gears of War type clone by now, but they haven't. Or some type of Halo clone right now.
Should have had some multiplier in it. I did like the combat order.
Yeah, I thought the order could have been like the Gears of War type clone, just as
like a short game, but like it was such a cool new IP.
But it's just like Microsoft needs to create these Uncharted type games and these Ratchet and Clank type games. I think
they don't have to copy Sony, but they gotta. The only thing they gotta copy from Sony is making a game that gamers feel like they have like an emotional connection.
That they want to play, right?
People want to play. That's exactly.
Look, and people are constantly talking about, because everywhere I've gone this year, no matter where I've gone, if the conversation comes about games, the games that everybody's talking about is Red Dead, Spider-Man, God of War. I haven't heard any Xbox games, and it's not because people are fanboying. It's because what they've played has moved them to talk about it.
Gears 5 doesn't have that kind of like craziness and stuff. Gears 5 trail looked really good. Like, I have to say, like, Gears 5 got me. I'm like, ooh, that looks good. Halo, that's really didn't show me anything. And again, we got to see some gameplay. Gears 5 was some gameplay, but the problem that I have with Gears 5 is like, I hope it doesn't feel like a spinoff of Gears 4 with like, I feel like I'm playing this game going like, oh, this is some side story. This is like, I don't feel like I'm progressing in the Gears universe, or like, this is something that I really like, because the same thing. And I don't like that Microsoft does this. And they started with Halo 2 and they did it with Gears 1, but Microsoft has this thing of leaving huge cliffhangers at the end of their game, and there's like 4 or 5.
Oh, man. And some of them are good. Like when they did it with Halo and he jumps out, I was like, holy crap. But some of them are good.
Finish that fight.
But some of the games, when you do something like that, when you live that cliffhanger, your next game better come out swinging.
Like, you can't drop like a whole like just end.
Right.
Like same thing with Gears 4. When you finish Gears 4, you're gonna be like, why would you just stop that like that? We gotta wait another like, you feel disappointed. You're like, I gotta wait another 3-4 years to figure out what the hell's going on.
Right.
Like, you gotta have some closure. And the thing is look what God of War could have easily kind of that up.
God of War could have did microtransactions and it easily would have got money for it.
I thought they were gonna have other realms and stuff like that.
Yeah, people wanted so much more from that game, and it was
closure. He had a mission and he finished the mission, and you come down from the mountain. That's it. You know what? And there was all like alluding to sequels, but there was nothing where you felt disappointed going like, oh, like we didn't fight that guy. Like I guess like Thor or something like that, like fighting that, but you did fight his sons. Like, I don't like, you didn't like, maybe
you want more.
You wanted more, but you weren't like
Microsoft hasn't created these games where you're like, I want more of this game. Like Gears, I think easily.
Look how Halo 5 ended. You finally get the group together.
Halo to me easily could have had more content to it. Yeah,
like
Gears 4 and
Halo 5. The end of Halo 5, it's like you fought as Locke, you ran around as Chief. Everybody finally came up together. Yes, that's right. He does show up at the end. But like Halo 5 got together, and it was like shakes her hand, and it's like, we're back together again, Palsy. And it's like, oh, here come the Guardians. Goodbye. See you in 6 years. It's like, what? See me in 6 years? Like, what happened? And then to hear like Greenberg and all those other guys talking now and going like, yeah, well, this is going to be back to the basics and back to Master Chief. And like, that doesn't coincide with how you ended Halo 5. Halo 5 was like, we're all together now. Locke and Master Chief, everybody's on the same page. The Arbiter, and sorry to spoil the 5 and shit, but like, you know, we're all there. We're all here, guys. Oh no, Cortana's going fucking AWOL, craziness. Here come the Guardians. They got released, and it's like, and they just like wave to the camera going, see you next in 5 years. It's like, go play multiplayer now for 6 years. See you later. It's like, why?
That's how Gears was too.
Like, why are you like, you can't have that kind of fall off like that, especially when your games have, and then to see Halo Infinite and it looks like they're on a Halo ring again. It's like, whoa, what the hell just happened? Where's your continuation? Like,
well, let me ask you this question, because I saw this as a big conversation on Twitter. Days Gone, when apparently Saber Interactive wanted to make their multiplayer, but Sony told them no. And I kind of agree, because I listened to BG's, you know, he talked about it, and I listened to a couple of YouTube. I think BG was spot on. Like, if Saber Interactive had a better track record of just making this game or that game, it'd be like, yeah, but I personally would not. If it's going to take away, because to me that could hurt the game more than anything. Because if you get a crappy multiplayer, but the single, I'd rather be a single one and done type of game than here, let's throw multiplayer just to have a multiplayer. Because if you get these guys who aren't known to create the best games and they go out there and create this multiplayer just because they're like, we're creating DayZ, and I'm like, and then the multiplayer sucks ass, that'd bring them that score down, that'd bring people's perception of the game down to a certain extent if people focus on that multiplayer. I just want a good game, period. I don't think every game needs.
I agree.
I think BG said it right. It's like you have a studio and I'm kind of like, it's kind of like with some of these other games like that, you know, they say, okay, we're the multiplayer portion of the game we're going to give to this studio. If that studio is not really well known and they create a bad multiplayer, it affects your whole game. Say again?
Look at Crackdown 3. The 5 studio.
Yeah, exactly.
This, and now the multiplayer was like its own element. Like, they're two different things. Like, it's like different, it doesn't fit into the law. And also too, I read the article that everybody was commenting on, and I it wasn't like Sony. Like, I understand they just went to him and said, hey, we make a game like this, like, why don't we do multiplayer? And Sony just said no. Like, I understand the way you can look at it. Goes, well, you know, you got online subscribers, you want online and things like that, and like you should embrace online and do this. But the thing is that you're right. That Saber, they really didn't have a good track record. Like, that who wants to just tack on some horde mode type of like multiplayer thing? Like, if that's not the vision of the game and they're just showing up going, hey, we make something similar, why don't we do this? Like, then it's right that they shouldn't put it in there. Like, if they didn't think about having multiplayer in the initial design, and some developer who makes some game that's similar is like, hey, we'll make your multiplayer for you. That doesn't sound like a very collaborative kind of thing. It's like, hey, you know what? We like to jump on the coattails of this game, or like, you know, we make something similar. Like, you know, we can make our game like you. And also too, the way DayZ has been taken, like, it's been all over the place. Like, I think console and the studio went abandoned. Sony did have a relationship with them, right? They were supposed to make the game, and then they
did.
So maybe this was early on. I don't know, but I didn't look at it as something like Sony's being is horrible for declining multiplayer. Like, multiplayer, again, there's a lot of competition with multiplayer out there. Like, it's not like you're in need of multiplayer. Every third party game is making multiplayer games. The thing is that
does every game need multiplayer?
Yeah,
that's the whole thing.
Like, look at the tact. Look at what Crackdown and Crackdown was like. Crackdown 3 is a perfect example of just kind of like Well, there's destruction in multiplayer, but no destruction in the game in single player. Oh, because you can't destroy the city, but you can destroy it in multiplayer, and it doesn't connect, and it looks like, and that it doesn't connect in a way that it's two different apps. They're two different apps in multiplayer, like the Crackdown. It shows us this. It's just it doesn't coincide with you want multiplayer.
It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense, and it looks like
it's like why is this needed?
Exactly. Why is this needed? And that's not the multiplayer that's going to keep people around. People are going to try it, but people are going to be like, well, there wasn't a lot of thought. But just like look at Far Cry multiplayer.
Yeah,
like,
prime
example. Far Cry is a single player open world adventure game. Like that's what Far Cry is. They have tried a number of times adding multiplayer, custom maps.
And it does not work. Nope.
It still is not something that I love the custom maps. I love how that works. But the thing is that Far Cry really doesn't lend itself to like this multiplayer. It's weird. It's not a Twitch shooter. It's just the multiplayer in Far Cry has never been that kind of solid kind of like let's play. Like the map creation has been cool, but it's primarily a first person like a game. But the multiplayer is there. For what it is. But that's an example of a game that really doesn't really need the multiplayer aspect of it. It's cool. I jump into it one time, but it's nothing that's going to say, oh, I'm playing this for the next 6 months. You know what I mean? Like I'm not playing it. I'm playing the single player, for all that stuff that you can do. But yeah, I agree. Like the thing is with the Sony stuff, like we don't know the full story. Again, people just ran with Sony declines multiplayer. It's like, And when
I think that what you got to look at is like, does this game really need multiplayer?
I don't know. It looks like it could be co-op, but who knows how that worked? Like,
co-op maybe, but a multiplayer, I don't know. I mean, I don't think. Yeah, I mean, it'd been cool, but
like we know what the game is going to be. That's the thing. Like Sony has done a good job of showing what that game is, how you're going to use survival stuff with your bike, and your bike is very important to you. Sort of like how the horse is in Red Dead. Like we'll see how that works,
Right.
But like they've done a good job of kind of building up this new IP because nobody knows what this is, and not really abusing the Horde. Like I think that they could have like just shown the Horde and just said, hey, like that video that they did 2 years ago in E3. Here's the Horde, like, it's done, you know what I mean? But I think that they trying to show more elements of like sneaking around different types of enemies, things like that. And that's what Microsoft needs. That's why I saw that Crackdown video. And I was like, Microsoft needs to break down their games. They need to explain them, build up hype. You don't just start talking about your game on Inside Xbox, having a Major Nelson run around with white gloves and a fucking tie-dye shirt, screaming about people on airplanes and submarines and run through Twitter. That's not how you build up hype for a game. I remember what State me too. Like, it's like, when are you going to talk about it? It comes down in 3 weeks. He's like, our campaign starts on the 1st of May. And then the first things that came out was like, the radius is too small. And that was their campaign because people started commenting on the game. The radius is too small. The problem is like, you got to start controlling the narrative of your games and selling your games, especially if content is king. If you're trying to keep people subscribing in Game Pass, to buy your console, to buy it on PC, buy it on console, wherever it's going to be, you need to start building up hype, breaking down your games, because what happens is that when you don't talk about your game, there becomes doubt. And also, when you only show little snippets of the game, people think you're hiding something. The thing is, you need to be talking. Joseph Staten needed to have like a 5-minute video walking through Crackdown, showing maybe playing one mission. That needs to happen. Maybe even some co-op. But it was a good start. But they need to do more of that. They got to show confidence in their game, And Days Gone might be a shitty game, but Sony has built some confidence and some sort of interest in the game by having Game Informer cover it and showing more and more trailers and having some gameplay of it and people doing a stream. That's the thing. I know, right? Days Gone to Daryl Dixon. But the thing is, it's basically Sony's doing a good job of showing respect for their games. I find Microsoft is sort of like crazy, like how Major Nelson did that Crazy Eddie deal, like all that psychedelic stuff. I think Microsoft tries to do that and act corny with their game releases and not take a mature approach and showing why the game is what it is. Look at what they did for State of Decay 2. They had to escape the room for 2 hours after the show to hype up the game. You didn't even show the game. You're going to show You escape the room with actors and stuff like that. Like, that's not what you need to do. Well, let's talk about Sea of Thieves. And then Major Nelson goes over there and he sits in the room and the guy shows him all different props of a guitar and music and stuff. It's like, that's not the game. Like,
no, I don't think that's what people want.
And what they did with Crackdown with IGN was good. Like, that's what they needed to do. But it was too short. And it made more questions because it didn't look like, you saw that, right? That Crackdown 3.
Yeah,
like,
I'm not totally impressed, but I'm interested in playing this. I'm not impressed.
Yes, that's right, Basel. They shot the guy out of the cannon, and they had people in a submarine for Sea of Thieves looking for the Kraken. You gotta get my Kraken joke in for the end of the year.
Oh my god!
But like, yeah, you're right. Like, that Crackdown coverage, like, it was what they needed to do, but what they showed, it didn't look like he was just doing the same fighting animation.
It was very lackluster.
Yeah,
like, it didn't make me say, "Oh my gosh!" All that time I didn't see it. Now I see what you've been working on. Kind of like when they showed Red Dead snips in here, and you're like, "Is that really the game?" And they finally showed it. You're like, "Holy crap, that was really the game!" You know, it wasn't that moment. I didn't have that same feeling that moment. And I just think that we're not going to get that from games, unfortunately, that aren't from the bigger studios. Like, you know, the Playgrounds and the Initiatives and stuff like that. I just don't think we are going to get stuff like that.
Yeah, but the thing
That's sad.
Like, you could market a game and you can make it bigger than what it is. Like, you know, you don't want to lie about it. Like,
right.
Like, what is it? Like, what is it? The No Man's Sky. Like, we're going to do things, and meanwhile, those things weren't there. You know,
right? Because I not like No Man's Sky, but I think to me because
but the marketing was challenging.
But yeah, the marketing was bad. The marketing was bad.
They weren't in it, so you don't want to right. Or like what Peter Molyneux did. Oh, you're going to be doing this and doing that, and it never happened. Like, you not.
Oh, like Fable and all this.
Yeah.
I mean, No Man's Sky now, if it can't, what it is
No Man's Sky
now
is pretty good. They got submarines, they got underwater worlds and stuff.
And I thought that's what Sea of Thieves would end up being, something like that. I thought it would end up doing something like
really
No Man's Sky.
Gameplay to it. Like, you explore, like, diving and like, you know, with fishing. You still have fishing to it. I don't have a pirate game without fishing.
But I thought that Sea of Thieves would have you know how like No Man's Sky basically had a relaunch. I thought Sea of Thieves may try to do a relaunch.
I bet you they do one next year. I bet you they do one a year out. They do a 1 year anniversary update. Well, they didn't actually. I don't think the competitive multiplayer, like, that's what everybody wanted. I remember that Aaron Greenberg's tweet.
Yeah, they talked about that. I'm not interested.
That competitive multiplayer, just what you wanted for who's excited for it, and like it was like 20% to like 60% of nobody wanted the competitive multiplayer like playlist.
Wow,
it was hilarious. But like, they need to show confidence. And I remember when we see if these was coming out. We were talking to some people and they're like, Microsoft didn't know confident in the game. They didn't feel it. Oh, but when they saw the beta and people playing it, then they said, oh, we're going to put all our money behind it. Microsoft doesn't have confidence. They show lack of. I had a rant on my last video. I lost my voice on. That was like basically, and I said this so many times before, where they are so cautious with talking about their games, but their services, the Game Pass, like Game Pass is coming to PC. We're not telling you how or when or what content, but I'm guaranteeing Satya comes out and goes, it's going to PC. Streaming, Xbox Cloud, we got the clouds. This is how it works. They're all balls out when it comes to services and this. But when we talk about games, they go crawling under a hole somewhere and they're like, oh,
and it doesn't matter how powerful your next console is if you don't have the software to back it up.
Oh, we're making the next
I could care less.
But hey, why don't you show us more than 5 minutes of Crackdown 3? No, wait till February. I'm sorry, I'm not going to talk about that right now. But I'll tell you, we're making the next console. But we're not. But I'll tell you, we're making it. But I'm not going to talk about Crackdown 3. No. Like, that's the thing. Like, there's no confidence in their games, but they could talk about confidence, and that's where their mind share is. Because I think they believe the games. They feel. I think the games are not leading the charge with Microsoft. The games are not at the forefront of this. It is their vision of services and interacting with a gamer elsewhere. And they don't how they care to interact. They don't care if they give you a little slap on the ass, a pat on the head, or a twist of the nipples. They don't care. You know, that's how they want to interact with you. But the games are not leading the charge. And that's why I have these rants. That's why I get so upset, because when I see people on Twitter, it's about everything but the games. And then when we talk about games, all of a sudden people on Twitter turn into the fucking they turn to what's her name? The friggin' who's the fortune teller lady?
I know you're talking about
The fortune teller lady. They turn into
the Oracle.
Like an oracle, right?
Yeah, you turn into the Oracle from the Matrix.
You got to give them hope. They just bought some studios. I see some great games in their future. What kind of games? We don't know yet, but they're going to be amazing games in their future. And it's like, but meanwhile, they're not talking about anything right now. But you turn into the Oracle. When I'm seeing what they're talking about, their mind share is in PC and touching people no matter where they are. They talk about
balls.
Grab that ball. They won't grab everybody's balls. Man, when you Phil Spencer, tell us about Crackdown.
It's coming soon.
Miss Cleo. There you go. I was thinking Miss Cleo. They turned to Miss Cleo. They're like this, like
Miss Cleo.
Keep them hope. I see great success. Oh, they're gonna come back next generation. Like, huh? What the fuck future you looking at, man? Like, I look at what they're doing. They are taking the PC road to hell right now. They're going riding that PC train.
Yeah, they're what they want to do next generation.
It's not about the game, and that's my problem. And then the same thing, like when you look at Game Pass, it's not. It's about delivering the service, and the games just come along for the ride. Like, are you really respecting your game? Like Nintendo. Fucking Nintendo spoke a whole year about Smash Brothers. A game we know what the hell the game is because they made 4 of them before it. How the hell can Nintendo hype up a game for a year and still people not tired of it?
True.
They had confidence. They knew how to show different characters. They weren't like 5-minute hype train. They were like 1-hour things on just Smash Brothers. Like, shit, we're going to show you, and here are the spirits and all this stuff, and made this game feel like, holy shit, this game should be $200. There's so much content in it. That's what Nintendo did with one game. And Sony is doing it with they're respecting their games. We're not going to show you a 50 game reel at E3. We're going to focus on 4 games and show you those 4 games and talk about them and do this and have a cup of tea. Yep. And do this stuff, but they're showing respect for the games, and gamers could appreciate that. Yeah, if they start talking about the music and then the guy playing the banjo and stuff like that, that's boring shit. But like, if you're telling me something that I can't wait to play, I'm gonna get hyped for. Like, that's what you do. Microsoft keeps all that stuff close. They just dump it out in Game Pass. Like, look, they could have used XO18 to talk about Below, to talk about Ashen, so we knew what Below would be and the potential of it. Instead, they just dumped it out after Christmas sale, like before Christmas. Like, yeah, here it is. And people are like, what the fuck is this game? I don't know. It keeps crashing. But dump. And I'm like, Game Pass quality. That's what I want to know. If they didn't have Game Pass, would Microsoft drop those games like it did? Like, would it drop Sea of Thieves like it did if it didn't have a Game Pass to just dump it out there with?
No, it wouldn't have. I don't think it would have. I think it would have been a whole different way they dropped it, because they would have looked at it in a different way. They would have said, well, we can't just push this game out, because if Sea of Thieves didn't have Game Pass, that game would have, oh my gosh.
It wouldn't even be a conversation. You think they would release it at $2 in that time? That content?
I don't see them releasing State of Decay or even Sea of Thieves at a full price. No, they would have been $29 games at launch, because you couldn't release a game for $60 in the past that they were, because they were
date.
And that's why I'm hoping that Crackdown, when it comes out, I'm hoping that we get something where, like, okay, I can see this is for what they were charging. I can see the quality of what they put behind it. With Sea of Thieves and State of Decay, I'm like, especially Sea of Thieves. Sea of Thieves felt like it should have been a free-to-play game, and State of Decay felt like it should have been a $19, maybe $29 title at best. Like, it just didn't feel really optimized for that game, And when you say that, people are like, "Oh, you just hate Xbox." No, I don't hate Xbox. I just don't think that the games they're putting out are good. I think I love the Xbox brand. I just don't think the game quality they put out, they don't have really great
with the games, and that's the problem. Like, everybody else is embracing their games. Like, you bought our hardware, now here's the software. Microsoft still has yet to just embrace the software and the games and talk about them, because every time when you think like, hey, they released the X now, they're going to talk about software. Guess what? Here's a Game Pass, and here's xCloud, and here's Scarlet, and it's like, Stop. You released your hardware. Stop fucking talking about more hardware. Talk about the
Yep.
games. Oh, we don't have any. You know, and it's like every time when you
And then
think
when you
this,
say
oh,
when you make the statement, well, you know, they don't really have games. The first thing they want to say is we have games. No, the narrative of not having games is like the exclusive content
like
you
when
have on
Sony
your
said we
system
have a
doesn't make.
boss lineup. Everybody ran with that one. They did because they had no friggin' first party games. It wasn't that Call of Duty wasn't releasing. They just said we had a sparse lineup.
Yeah,
They don't have a
I mean,
lineup.
it's a true statement, you know, and I understand when I've always understood this statement of when people say, well, Microsoft's Xbox One doesn't have games. I get it because I own an Xbox and I'm like, they don't have any exclusives. And so they have games for me. They have games that I can play there if I want to, but I primarily play on my PlayStation with all my multiplats because that's where the majority of my friends are. And that's where I know that I'm going to get the most play. It's not that I can't make new friends on Xbox. It's just that that's kind of where I went. That's where we play the urban multiplats, and that's where I play a lot of, you know, the great first party IPs. Now I buy most of my first party IPs on my Xbox, but they're far and few between. Like I didn't buy Sea of Thieves. I Game Pass, and I didn't buy I Game Pass it because they
Really
yeah
challenges
that,
you.
that I can honestly say that saved me because if I had to spend
Yeah.
what is that $20 on those games, I'd have been furious because those games were not worth 120.
And Game Pass, while it makes you get an easy in, the problem is that it gives you an easy out. It doesn't lock you into their ecosystem. See, and that's
True.
the thing that people don't understand. When they talk engagement, that is like if you're looking at a revolving door, people are coming and going, coming and going. You're never going to get a consistent kind of like, this is our audience because people are just poking their head in and poking out, poking in and poking out. But guess what? They're not buying anything. What value do they have to you? Just because they're window shopping doesn't like what value do they have to your ecosystem? Like people like Game Pass get you an ecosystem, but it makes you easily leave because you have no financial investment in any of those games.
Totally agree.
So like while it isn't
like,
easy,
there's nothing to keep you there. There's
there's
nothing to
keep you there. You know what I mean? And that's why I think like they should incorporate live with Game Pass where maybe they give you games while you're subscribed to Game Pass. Like, hey, subscribe to Game Pass for a month and you could keep this game. Or like they're gonna have to do something along those lines because right now it is a fucking window shopping. And that's why another thing is that the people could easily and also too, I'm sorry, but it leads to a lot of kind of false hate and hate on games because people don't have financial investments in the game. See, if you go spend $60 on a game, if the game is shit, you're gonna say it's shit, and you're gonna feel like a dead drop in your stomach. Like, oh fuck, I wasted this money on this game. I gotta get rid of it. And you know, you have that feeling. But man, if you boot up a game and you pay $10, you're like, damn man, I got the best deal of the century. This game sucks, and I didn't have to buy it.
Yep.
The thing is that when you go buy a game, you might power through a game like, yo, this game sucks, but I spent $60 on it. I'm gonna get $30. Let me just like that's why reviews exist and stuff like that because you have a financial investment in a game. You might power through it. You have a different opinion. Just like if somebody gets a free game, they might be more critical of it because they didn't pay for it with their hard-earned money. You know what I mean? But when you buy something, and you know what, Jemai, I'm gonna say Red Dead Redemption 2. I feel a little like deep in the stomach with that game because every time I try to get into it, I'm just like, I got to get on my horse and drive 15 friggin' miles on my horse just to get somewhere to progress the story. Like, I feel like it's horse riding simulator.
I didn't get into Red Dead Redemption 2 like I thought I would. That's why I didn't put it in my top 10 game of the year.
You cannot play Red Dead after 11 o'clock at night with a 2-month-old.
Oh, I agree. I don't have a 2-month-old. I agree with that.
I'm going to sleep at the fucking reins of the horse. I am like closing my eyes. I'm like, did I get there yet? Did I get there yet? I'm like sitting there. And I'm like, did I get there yet? And then you get there and then you talk to a guy for 10 minutes and you're like, skip. Oh no, they're shooting at us. Do. Get on the horse. Chase the guy. Okay. All right.
Somewhere else.
All right. Now you're on the other side of the map. You got to get all the way back to your camp to get the next mission. And it's like, oh.
That's why my 22-year-old son, who has no children, who he got to beat it. He has that time. I told him, I said, son, I just don't have the time to do it. Yeah,
I'm
I
trying to
don't
get
have
the
the
cover,
time to do it.
and it's just like every friggin' GTA game. It's like
Yeah,
every friggin' GTA game. It's like I don't appreciate getting in a car and driving to the other side of the map for every friggin' mission.
yeah.
Like
I respect the game and what they've
it's
done for it.
amazing what they've done with creating a world, and
Right.
they try to make like people shooting at you at the side of the road or a bank robbery happen, like these kind of things, which is very good. But
Hmm.
gameplay wise, like it's daunting when you got to ride that horse, and then you got to worry if he loses stamina, you got to feed him, and he trips on a rock, and everybody goes flying all over the place.
Yeah, there's a lot to it. So, and I can say I can respect what it does, but it's just for me, I can say that Red Dead is a type of game that I'll eventually play, but it's going to take me a very long time to play it because it's very what's the word I want to use for it? It's just the world is
It's too
very fleshed
realistic.
out.
Too
Yeah,
realistic.
it's too much stuff to do, and I don't have a problem with that. I'm just like, yeah, that's for me. It's just like that's why I wasn't in my top 10 game of the year. I couldn't get soaked into it. I couldn't get pulled into it. God of War is definitely my number one best game
Yeah.
this year. It pulled me in
Yes,
immediately,
it pulls you into
and
the story. Like I feel like the
yeah,
transversal in Red Dead takes me out of knowing what the character wants. I just do a mission for John Marston, and then it's like, all right, well he disappears for a while. Now go ride your horse for 20 minutes to figure out where the next mission is, and it's like I don't get connections of what the hell am I doing here? Like there's no like,
right.
and yeah, I agree. Like it is kind of, and yeah, losing the oh my god, losing your horse. That hasn't happened to me yet. I bought so many of those revival things because if that horse dies, I'm
Oh
not. I
man,
will
that
not play that game again if I
sucks.
lose that horse.
That
Holy crap!
sucks.
But like it's just so, and then forget it. And I'm gonna say, and I think the real reason why is because the multiplayer of Red. Talk about a snooze fest. That
Yeah.
I don't even know what there was. I started up the multiplayer. It wants me to go to the other side of the map. I'm like, are you serious? I
It's,
have.
it's a giant tutorial. Yeah,
I'm
just
like,
you're like, what am
holy
I doing?
shit! That is. I was seriously hitting the X button for probably about 25 minutes. I looked at the map. I was halfway there. I'm like, are you kidding me? This is for the next mission. I couldn't believe it. And then I just was like, I might just jump into the single player like lock on fest, the multiplayer shootout lock on fest. That's all that is. Like, you know what I mean? That's why GTA was cool because it has a lot of modern stuff where you could do like races and stuff. I just don't think Red Dead 2 falls into that kind of expandability that GTA 5 had, where they have like a battle mode now with the cars and stuff like that.
Oh
Which
yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
like, yeah,
which
GTA.
is
I just don't know what they're gonna do with Red Dead. I like I think Red Dead 1, Red Dead Redemption 1 had a better online kind of like your posse and you could do missions together. I think this one's just a little the horse riding. It just too much. The map is huge. I understand you can't fast travels and teleporting because it takes out of the realism of the game, but like after a while, like you don't just want to be riding your horse forever. Like
You
you
know,
want to.
my other problem with Red Dead is like I would go into towns and I'd be walking, somebody bump into me and they immediately start shooting or fighting me, and then I get killed. But if I do it, I immediately get wanted. I'm like, this is bull crap.
Yeah.
That was a lot. That happened to me a couple of times. I was like, you know
Mhm.
what? Let me take a break and I'll come back to this game. It just pissed me off because I was like, man, what the hell? That was just, oh my gosh, that pissed me off. I'm like, now I'm wanted. So then I just end up start killing everybody in the town because
Yeah,
I'm like, well, I
and now
guess
your
I'll just kill
bounty's up,
everybody.
and good luck driving around
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah, I was like, I
But
guess I'll just kill everybody. I mean,
I
this
know.
year I think overall was really good for gaming. Period.
Oh
I
yeah.
think for the Xbox brand, it just wasn't as great. The only big win I think they had was the fact that Red Dead came in 4K native. But if you're just talking about resolution, that's your only
That's
big
a
win.
win.
And we're not talking about if you're talking about like if
That's
you
a
look at
win
the
for knowing
overall
people that bought an
software,
X though.
yeah, and that's a very small. That's a very small win because like how many people really own an X? Not like half their user base does. So that's the other thing you got to look at because people are like, oh, it's a win for Xbox. Well, these fanboys, it's a win for Xbox. I'm like, do you know their user base, their user install base for the X is probably maybe 2%. It's not like 50-50. Like
Well,
it's
that's the
not.
thing. When Microsoft says plays best on the X, like, and Ybarra runs around with that stuff. It's like
Yeah, but
you
it's like
thought
how many
shit on the
people
X.
own that X? It's like, Sony just says play it on PlayStation. It's like, yeah, that you can see a pro or whatever, but it's like plays best on the X, but how many people actually own the X? More people own your S because it's $199 than they do a $400 box, which you just dropped $100. Like that thing should have came out of $399. You should have took the bite. You should have took the freaking. You should have said, you know what, we're gonna bite the bullet on this one. We're gonna lose money. We're going to come out competitively launch, and we're going to give you software. You didn't do either. You didn't give us great, compelling software to push that freaking hardware that you gave us. So, unfortunately, for everybody that bought it a year ago, they kind of said, well, yeah, as long as you play multiplats, you may get a slightly better version of it. Because, like, how many multiplats versus their competitors running so much more better than their competitors? When you look at the game per game, third-party enhancements, everything, not that many. Maybe one or two or three. There's not that many. So and that's not fanboy talk. That's just you can run down a list of enhancements for both consoles. You like the difference between both of them are really small. They're minor. I think Red Dead is the biggest difference.
Red Dead was the biggest one. But the thing is it all comes down to the games. Like look at and I think somebody said it earlier in the chat. Like the Nintendo Switch shows that power is not the reason why people buy hardware. They buy the hard. They buy it's stop saying about the hardware. It is a gaming machine, and
the power narrative
machine for the games.
That's it. I'm going to tell you this. People say Sony was a power narrative. The narrative wasn't about power. The narrative was that the PlayStation 4 plays the games at a native 1080p, and the Xbox couldn't. And they were playing their games at
the same price, and there was a higher price.
And the fact that's why that got brought up, because it was $100 more for the Xbox, and so when you had websites saying, "Wait, this is $100 more," but this console is
spring of that year, exactly.
Right. And so it was like this but this console will run it at 1080p, and this console can't even hit 1080p. It's at 720 or 900. So they're like, wait a minute, what the hell is going on? So that became a narrative. That's not, people will say, oh man, media bias. No, it's not media bias. It's the truth. Like you spend $100 more on a console that gave you a camera you didn't want, that didn't even run the games the same as its competitor. No, Microsoft.
You want to know what the story that
they messed up at the beginning of the generation, and that's the bottom line. Yeah,
the people. What people forget to say is that the narrative of power started when they announced their RAM. Back before consoles even launched, when Sony came out and said, we have DDR3 RAM, and Microsoft goes, well, we got this RAM, and we got ES.
Oh, no, Microsoft had the DDR3, and then Sony had DDR4.
Yes. So as soon as they talked about the RAM, and that was the question of, and this was before the consoles even launched, and we knew the prices. This was when they announced their specs. The PlayStation was like, oh, well, they're using better RAM on the PlayStation. And then Microsoft was trying to counter that by talking about ES RAM. That's when the power narrative started, before the consoles even launched, before we knew even the price. Then what happened was that Microsoft focused on the as we know about TV entertainment and all this other stuff, and really didn't put games again in the forefront. Sony talked about games and showed that they had they chose a RAM for those games. Microsoft was like, well, we have ES RAM that's going to offshoot. We got 2 operating systems. This all started before we knew the price. The price then was the kick in the ass. Was like, now with $500 worth of camera, and Sony's like $400.
I think the Xbox had DDR3 and PlayStation had DDR5.
Yes, it had the RAM. Yes, it had the RAM.
Right. That's why that's why the conversation
started. Right. It was in February when Sony announced the specs, and then in May when Microsoft had that horrible showing about TV, and they said, "Here's our spec list." And then they started talking crazy about everything else, and then they got critiqued. But that's when the power started. Then they announced that 500 and 400, and people like, holy crap, Sony has a more powerful console with the RAM, and Microsoft's talking TV and all this other stuff, and all this like friggin' like crazy talk about trade-ins and all this other stuff. That all built up. Then that came to fruition when we started seeing it in the games, where Sony had games running at 1080p and Microsoft kept having them sub 1080p. And now they're
either 720 or 900. Yeah.
Microsoft didn't focus on making these games run best. Sony is the better RAM, and Sony was easier to develop for, the ES RAM, and that carried into the resolution. So when the rubber hit the road, it was true that Sony system was a bit more powerful and cheaper priced than Microsoft's. But the power thing talked when before we even announced. So that's why power wasn't the reason why people bought the PlayStation. It was price, but it was value. It was value. It was like, wait a second, I am getting this thing for a gaming machine that has no bullshit about trading in and camera check-ins and camera
Microsoft didn't. But see, Microsoft, once again, they didn't realize.
But I bought the Xbox One. I didn't believe. I saw the games. I saw Rise. I saw this. Even though they had bullshit stuff, they had some games that I'm interested in, and I bought the.
They didn't realize what their consumer wanted with the X because Sony came out with the Pro. Once again, said, "Okay, this is $399, so it's our launch price. This is more powerful, a little bit more powerful. We can do games, the checkerboard at 4K, maybe some native." Microsoft said, "Well, with our S and our X, we'll just put 4K Blu-ray players in it because it'll seem like a good value." That market didn't take off. Like that market is really
4K Bluerays because nobody
are streaming. People are streaming. People don't care. People are streaming. So Microsoft, once again, they didn't see that as they saw that as a good value.
Only 4K Blu-ray player on the market. I can't believe how that. Again, they
maybe next generation will put 4K Blu-rays in their console, but I think that Microsoft should have stuck with the regular old Blu-ray player.
Now they're gonna release one without a disc now, and in the February, without one.
But it's like it doesn't make sense because it's like they could have released the X without a 4K Blu-ray player in it and said no 4K Blu-ray player in it, just standard Blu-ray. They could have skimmed down because that was the reason why it was $100 more. It's a little bit more powerful because it's more powerful than the Pro. But when you look at it in comparison, it's not like it just stops like it's like 10 times more powerful. It's not like that. People are making it seem like it's 10 times more powerful than a Pro.
No, it's
a nice step, but Sony said, "No, we're not going to
putting the mind share behind the X because it's not the lead platform." That's why if Microsoft would have made the X $400 and been competitive, I think we would have seen a huge uptake in Xbox One.
It would have been a big difference. They could have just.
I would have bought an X.
This is just my opinion. This is just my opinion.
Last year,
they could have. Yeah, they could have foregoed even relaunching an S and just did an X. They could have said, "Screw this. We don't have to put all this money into this S. Let's just launch an X. It's more powerful. It's the same as a Pro."
Holy crap!
And if we're gonna, even if you're gonna do an S, like do an S and don't have a 4K Blu-ray player in it, just revamp your console you already have. They try to give so much value to the consumer. It's the only thing with a 4K Blu-ray, and people were like, "Look, this like
4K upscaling." They had 4K upscaling. Now
let me tell you this. Even with a 4K Blu-ray player built in the S, like your casual consumer don't even understand that. All they know is, you still got people out there buying DVDs. Your casual consumer doesn't understand what a 4K Blu-ray player. All they heard is Blu-ray, and they're going to buy a Blu-ray movie and put it in there, and it works. They don't know about 4K Blu-ray. They don't get it. They don't even have a 4K TV.
No, like so much. Yeah, I'm sorry.
I just don't understand why Microsoft did that. They put so much into the S and changed it from their day one, and they didn't need to do that. Man. All they really needed to do is revamp that console, make it look different, and maybe say, okay, let's take this ESRAM and change this. Other than that, they didn't need a 4K Blu-ray player in it at all. They didn't need that.
But guess what? That was when it hit the highest strike because people wanted that small console. And the S was when they won NPD for 4 months straight.
Right.
Then as soon as the Pro,
and that's because of the redesign. Because the redesign was really cool.
Yeah,
that redesigned S was cool looking. But I think once again, it's like Microsoft didn't need a 4K Blu-ray player in that system at all. All they need to do is redesign because their console was not appealing.
Like, look at Bowser says the S was a waste to me. The problem is the S. Look at the resale value of these that shows you supply and demand. Go look at GameStop and go look, and you can even see the X is worth the same or a bit less than a friggin' PlayStation 4 Pro. Meanwhile, at retail, the X is over $100 more than the Pro. But trading wise, and I know I don't want to go on GameStop, but GameStop does supply and demand. And if you don't believe me, go look at when some Xbox makes a game backwards compatible and go.
Oh, they immediately jump that price up.
Yes, so GameStop does supply and demand. So what's coming out of the store, they're going to what people are practically buying more used of. They're going to give more money towards that because they want more of that stock. So therefore, look at the trade-in values of the Pro and of the PlayStation compared to what Xbox was and the S. Microsoft system has depreciated more in quicker time. People thought that they could trade in an S for $200 for an X a year later. Meanwhile, the S was trading for 80.
Yep.
It was like hit $80 for that.
And it's like, and how I look at it as a consumer, like when I heard that Sony was doing a Pro, I was like, I'm interested in that because I had a 4K TV. But when I heard they were revamping the base PlayStation, I was like, well, I'm good, And there was nothing different other than they were like, we're gonna make it slimmer and we're going to take the optical port off the back, and that's about it. It's the same thing. I was like, I'll spend my money and get a Pro because it can do a little bit more.
That's how I converted. I said, when we did $500, I'm like, I'm not paying $500 to play the same games again. You have no special games coming out for the X. You were just telling me that some games will get. And then when I clicked on the list of like what one of my 375 games got 4K updates or would be supported on the X, it was like 17. And I'm like, 17 games at 370. I'm like, no, thank you. I'm going to invest and I got a PlayStation and I play the exclusives. I went for the exclusives and I stayed for the VR, and then I just played some multiplats on it, and that's what I've been doing. And I look at and the thing that ruined me was Uncharted 4. I played that game, and after I beat that game, I took a look at my Xbox and I was like, when are you ever going to have something like this? Ever? Like these type of, and then God of War, forget about it. I'm like, you're never gonna see a game with that. I just don't know where it is. Like, and I'm not a Sony fanboy. The crazy thing is that I play this game and I'm like, I feel like I'm never going to experience something like that on an Xbox. And I hope I'm wrong. I hope the initiative shows me that there is a game that Microsoft could deliver on. But it's just right now what I see and what I have played, I haven't experienced that kind of graphics and storytelling and interaction and stuff of an Uncharted, nonetheless, God of War. After that just sealed the deal to God of War. I'm like, holy crap, like, when am I going to experience something like this? And it's not a single player game. It's just a game that has this polish and this kind of storytelling and character. And it all works. But what I wanted to do is we have 22 people watching. Hit the like button. Frogs, as we were talking, and we're going to end the year on this stuff, Easy Allies came out with this little video interview, and I think it kind of sums up 2018 and the hypocrisy or just craziness that Microsoft has been just going all over the place with Game Pass and everything like that. And I'm going to try to share it on here, and it's on Twitter. It's getting liked. So you guys are sticking around, hit that like button, and we're going to share this video and see. It's a 2-minute video. I'm going to play it here. I'm going to share my screen.
I'm interested now.
They just came out with this thing, and let's see. Let's see. I don't know if it's going to be laggy. Hold on. I'm going to start at the beginning. Can you see it?
Oh, yeah, I can see
hear the audio. All right, let's hear what they have to say. He's supposed to be Phil Spencer.
I don't know if the chat hears the audio. Can the chat hear the audio?
Wait, can chat hear it? Look, check out the chat.
Oh, let me check out the chat because I can't hear it. So,
oh, you can't hear it?
See. Nah, let me see. Let me jump on there real quick. Yeah, because I can't hear it. I'm actually interested. But the chat might be able to hear. Hold on, let's see.
I won't do full screen.
Let's see.
Yeah, chat, can you hear the video?
They can't hear it. They said they can't hear it either.
Oh, they don't hear it? Okay. Well, here, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to play it through my computer speakers, and we'll hear it. It's supposed to be Phil Spencer. All right. He's mocking Phil Spencer in this thing. He's supposed to be. Oh shit! What happened? Did I lose it? Well, I want to hear it here first time. Oh, hold on. Ah shit! I lost it. Oh my god! Am I still sharing my screen? Hold on. I'm not gonna share my screen. I'm gonna play it through audio, and you can hear it. That's all I'll do that way. All right, hold on. But I like it. Yeah, of course. People like the two different platforms, one ecosystem. I'm getting some fans of Xbox diehards are. The thing is like if you play on Xbox, how can like this whole like how can you support like PC games and all that stuff? It's like if you play on Xbox, how's this like that's the thing. Like people go back and forth with this whole we're gonna be Xbox, we're gonna be PlayStation, like we're gonna be PC, we're gonna be like they love the message like gaming everywhere, but meanwhile they think that everything that Microsoft's doing is to make Xbox beat PlayStation. Like that's hypocrisy. It's like you're wrong. You got to keep that same energy. If you want to know that Xbox and PC are one platform and you want to promote that and you think it's okay, then when I come out there and I go, those studios that they bought are not making games just for Xbox, you're like, oh, what are you talking about? You don't know what you're talking about. We don't. It's like, so stop celebrating this is wins for Xbox because Xbox is one platform. PC and Xbox are one thing. Stupid ass. Whatever. You know what I say? You want to have that high hope and believe and think that Xbox is going to come back. Enjoy your fault.
It's gonna take a serious.
Enjoy because you're going to be waiting until you're an old man going. And I see people with anacondas in their little thing. I'm like, you just had X's last year. Now we got anacondas.
Yeah, I could care less about an anaconda. I want to know what you're going to do.
What games you're making? Like, that's it. Now I lost a stupid thing. But I thought it was funny as hell. Hold on. I got to go to I'm going to my thing and go to my likes. I had it up.
This is the first year I've actually waited till after Christmas and purchased all my major titles. I usually wait and wait, but man, I'm so happy I waited for so many of these games because I'm like, man, I'm reaping the reward of this being able to purchase all these games I want for the price I want at such a discount. You know, this feels so good buying Tomb Raider at $29.
Yeah, well, you said it was gonna drop. Hold on,
yeah,
easy.
Or buying like Assassin's Creed for $59 with all the Assassin's Creed is to me the best deal you could buy because you're getting that game for $59, which is a regular price digitally. And then on top of that, you're getting Assassin's Creed 3, you're getting Assassin's Creed Liberation. So that's 3 games plus DLC plus DLC. So that's 3 games plus DLC. You can't beat that for $59. And that's why I always wait, man. I always wait, especially when it's an Ubisoft game. I'm like, Ubisoft is going to drop this game 3 months later.
All right,
Far Cry. I did the same thing with Far Cry 5, but yeah, I'm ready to listen.
All right, okay, just because you're going to hear your voice too, because I'm going to put it coming at him.
Okay, I'm gonna mute myself then.
All right, hold on. Here it is. Tell me if you can hear. I'm gonna put this game up. Now let's go.
Xbox Game Pass this year, where people can pay a subscription to access and download over 100 titles, including first-party exclusives. What was the thinking behind that?
First of all, Lise, that's a great question. It's wonderful receiving a question like that from such a young, thoughtful woman. And I look forward to receiving many more questions from many more young, thoughtful women in the coming years and beyond.
Did you hear that, young and a woman?
But as far as Xbox Game Pass is concerned, it's all about value. In our research, we found that gamers love 2 things, options and cheap games. And Xbox Game Pass delivers both. And right now, you can get Xbox Game Pass for the first month for just $1.
Bill, I'm going to be honest with you. That sounds way too cheap. Like someone could pay $1 to play State of Decay and Forza and then just quit, right?
Honestly, that happens, and it does hurt. But this is about establishing a permanent, long-term relationship with gamers, and I think that is more important in the grand experience. That's why we're proud to announce the Xbox Burger Program. From now until August of 2019, you can bring a hamburger to any Microsoft store and trade that in for an Xbox One S.
Bill, you got to stop this. I'm starting to get worried about you, man.
How can you be worried about me? I have even more good news. Today, I'm proud to announce the Xbox Hangout with Phil program. The next 300 hours, if you log into Mixer and watch anything for 12 minutes, you will gain access to my phone number. At that point, you can call me any weeknight, holidays excluded, and I will come to your house and hang out with you for at least 30 minutes. I'll bring the chips.
Bill, that is horrifically unhealthy. That's not
Phil, we already like you. You don't have to do this. Maybe we should switch topics. How about
the Switch, huh? Nintendo Switch. Incredible piece of hardware. Gamers all over the world are lucky to have access to this wonderful hardware that only Nintendo can produce.
I would agree with that statement.
I'll buy you a Nintendo Switch. I'm announcing the Xbox One X Nintendo Switch Xbox program. From now until March 2198, I will buy you a Nintendo Switch if you take an Xbox One X from my garage. My address is 3344 King Street.
Phil, you need to stop it.
Did you hear that? Oh my god, that's very funny.
Hilarious.
Did you hear that?
But you know what? That is basically how I kind of feel. Like that's kind of how it is. It's like,
He said,
that's
"Switch, you heard me."
hilarious.
Oh my god,
Oh my
that was very
gosh.
that was very funny.
Hilarious. Oh, that's so funny.
I can actually see the burger program. You bring in your burger, we'll give you an Xbox. Well, I'll just hang out with you.
Crap.
It's the truth, man. It is crazy.
That's such a good joke. That's
It's
my
so
gosh,
funny.
that's funny.
It does sound like the real thing. Like I got here to announce this brand new. Like he's such a like it's so it's just crazy. And then to hear like he's just like all about that. It's oh my god, that's so funny.
Oh my gosh, man.
Like I'll buy you a Switch.
That's hilarious, man. Because that really sounds like, when you're like, yeah, this is basically how it is. This is how it is. Yeah.
That's what I mean. It's like you want to talk gaming for everybody, gaming, then fine, like do that stuff. But the thing is you still got to realize you're trying to sell a dedicated gaming platform versus other competition. Like you got to still see like just like a football game. Like you guys go out there and shake hands, but after that whistle blows, you're competitive.
It's no holds bars. Yeah, it's no holds bars.
And then I'll shake your hand at the end of the game. Like there is definitely that respect. Like not saying that they can't have respect for each other, but the thing is that you cannot be like you cannot just go prancing around the field shaking hands at everybody when everybody's ready to take your head off during game time. Like that just doesn't work.
Totally agree.
There's a respect, but there's not a kind of like just like so it's really challenging, and this is where the messaging goes crazy, and that's why it's like the thing that just drives me crazy the whole year was been this whole dichotomy is like, what do they want to be? Because I'm all in on PC being Xbox, all being one, let's do it, but you got to make moves to make them the same platform. You cannot have two separate platforms when one's paying and one's getting treated like a second-class citizen, and then the other one's getting treated like a first-class citizen. And the thing is like I want to. Every time I sit here and I'm like, I want to fix this Xbox. I want to go buy an Xbox. I have to look at myself and look at what's going on and going like, I can't believe that I could sit here and go like, I don't need one.
Yeah.
I never thought, and I think that's when people go crazy. It's like, well, why do you care so much? It's like I never thought I'll be in a position after owning it for 15 years, since the Xbox original, being a subscriber for 13 years, Xbox Insider, Microsoft Insider, buying into the sitting here going like, I don't need it.
Yeah.
And I want to need it. Like
that's
a
hard thing, man.
I never thought that I could just be like, you know what? I can experience, like, they don't even lock down my friends list, which is wonderful. But you gave me all reasons to not go buy a console. Like, I could talk to everybody. I like the first thing I think about when I go buy a console, I know you say it's $60, and you could get it for $40, but is that you got to go buy Xbox Live. And I'm like, but I could do Gears and Sea of Thieves I could do it all on my computer for free.
Mm-hmm.
And still talk to people on my phone. Like
and get the best experience.
Yeah, I can run CFDs
at 60
frames. Like I have a 980 Ti. Like I can run CFDs 60 frames. Like I could run it. That's why I'm like, when I saw it on Xbox, I'm like, oh, I played the beta. I was like, oh, this is kind of like, I was like, it's so fast on PC, and I realized I was paying it at 60 frames on PC, and I'm like, is it 4K 60 on Xbox X? It's like, nope, it's 4K 30, and I'm like, oh.
Yeah, you started to see, wait a minute.
It's so much faster on my PC. Like the options you're giving, then that's the thing. You could give options all you want. And the options during the 360 time complemented the Xbox. The options now are replacing the Xbox. And that's the biggest problem of them all. The options Microsoft has been announcing in the last couple of years replace the Xbox and make better experiences somewhere else. Whereas when they offer options, it should complement it. You know, PlayStation Now complements the PlayStation. It doesn't replace your games lineup. But Xbox Game Pass, now you got to sit here and go, well, wait a second. Gears of War, do I buy it or do I Game Pass it? Crackdown, it actually interferes with gaming, with your Xbox gaming.
I wouldn't mind getting my games day in, day one on Game Pass and paying for Game Pass monthly. As long as I knew I didn't have to have an Xbox Live, you know, because I wouldn't have Xbox Live because I don't. The games they give me that are free on a monthly basis aren't the best games at all. And so like that year of $60, they want that plus they want you to spend that $9 a month. You know,
yeah,
so Sony's Game Pass or their Game Pass type model, their PlayStation Now, you don't need to have an Xbox or a PlayStation account or a PlayStation Plus account to play the games online. You can just play it as long as you subscribe to that whole. And I'm like, that's what Microsoft should be thinking about. But Microsoft is like, no. We want to get you here and we want to get you here because we want to make this subscription based model. And I'm like, okay, I understand you want to make money. There's no problem with that, making money.
Yeah, they're gonna make money, yeah.
But as a consumer, you really got to think, you know, and some consumers won't understand it. They won't get that they don't need Xbox Live if they have, some consumers on PlayStation, because the casual consumers won't know, okay, I got PlayStation Now, so I don't need PlayStation Plus. They'll think you need PlayStation. It's just like when we were talking about some consumers don't know that Fortnite, you don't need a PlayStation Plus or an Xbox Live account.
Yeah, like one of those things. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, on PlayStation, you don't need it, but Xbox, you do need it, and so most consumers don't know if you need it or not. Because when you go to the store, guess what? They're gonna try to sell you that right from the get go. Oh, you plan on playing online? You gotta buy this. You plan on do this? You gotta buy this. And so the casual consumer that knows is the mom who she doesn't know. She's buying it for little Timmy, and Timmy's like, okay, I got this new console and I got PlayStation Plus or Xbox Live, and I think these subscription bases and this service is getting to a point because I'm looking at just the industry.
For everything, right?
Everybody wants a subscription base. I mean, Epic has their thing, like EA has their
Everybody
thing.
wants you in a subscription. That's fine. The thing is, I don't mind paying a subscription as long as I feel like I'm getting what I'm paying for.
Right, and that's the whole point.
And in order to have a subscription, you got to keep evolving and keep coming out the content. And releasing 3 games a year from your first party is not enough for new content. And if you want to pad that with old games,
3 mediocre games at that.
Not right?
Not the cream of the crop. You're releasing some mediocre games.
You're releasing some
well, I'll say maybe one of them is not mediocre because Forza obviously is the best tier, but their other games are just very mediocre.
Yeah,
Ashes.
Like Ori's gonna be good, but Ori again.
Yeah, Ori is a good game, but it's basically it kind of feels like it's just an arcade game. Like it's not that I'm not trying to.
But Ori 1 was a surprise. Like that was like
it was really good. Yeah, really good.
And Ori 2, I don't know if it's gonna hit as hard as Ori 1.
I think it'd be good, but I don't know. I think it'd be the same market.
I don't think it's going to hit as hard as Ori 1 did. Just like Forza 3, I don't know. Like Forza 4 is doing all right. Forza Horizon 4 is doing all right. But again, the Game Pass stuff, it makes it's a combination of both. It's Game Pass, it's gaming everywhere. Microsoft has just opened the door on putting their games on everything. Like it's Game Pass, it's having it available to PC. Like Forza was never available on PC.
Nope.
In Forza Horizon, besides Forza Horizon 3. So like there's a market out there that hasn't experienced those games. And I know they say that a lot of times, but the thing is that does that market want to play those games? And I think the biggest problem Microsoft faces, their marketing and messaging need to lead with the games, and the services come along for the ride. The thing is that they're not leading with their games and confidence in their games and telling us why we should want to play their games. And instead, they're leading with services and hardware and more subscriptions and why we're subscribing. I don't know, but we're going to give you games. What kind of games? I don't know. Just keep subscribing. And we'll be there and we'll give you another console and another one and another one. And we'll give you something else. And look how successful. And that whole shit against the wall doesn't always fly. I just saw the VR headsets that they announced last year. Remember the AR and VR, and Microsoft didn't invest in it because they made Lenovo and Samsung just make headsets. Well, guess what? Nobody made anything for those headsets, and now they're on sale for $150.
Yep.
That I saw them on sale yesterday for them.
You got to keep pushing them.
Microsoft has abandoned, but then look at VR on PlayStation. Edge gave Games of the Year to VR games over God of War. Their best hardware was PlayStation VR. Like, the thing is like, look at the difference. Microsoft did a passive bullshit shit against the wall. Everybody's making a headset. Game developers might use it. They might not. We're going to use Steam, and I don't know what we're going to do. And it abandoned that hardware of those VR headsets. Sony embraced it, made software just for it, Astrobot exclusive games for the VR, and now the PlayStation VR is the best-selling and more relevant VR headset than even the Oculus was.
Right.
How crazy was that? The Vive and Oculus were the headsets, and then PlayStation came at last and passed it up. This is not fanboy talk. This is the real deal. This is what happened. And look at the games: Astrobot, Tetris Effect, the Fire Team. Like, you got the aim controller. Like, games made for the VR. When you support your hardware, people buy it. Microsoft didn't support their Windows 10 store. Oh, you could run Windows 10 apps on the VR headset and stuff. So guess what? When they talk about Xbox Scarlet next generation, if they say, oh, it's going to support VR, guess who's supporting it? Nobody. Because Microsoft did not build an install base for it for developers to even give a shit about it. That's the problem. That's the ultimate problem with Microsoft. You need to support your hardware with software. You can't just make hardware and go, oh, hopefully they'll use it. The devs, we made it easy. Hopefully.
And it's the most powerful this, most powerful that. That doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
And you can put as many tools as you want, but if your hardware is not selling, and this goes for the console, if your hardware is not selling, developers will not develop for it primarily. Maybe you get a port 2 years from now, but you're not going to be the platform that all devs want to make it for, the dev for. When somebody says, I'm making a VR game, they're not going to say, let me go put it on one of those Samsung headsets for Microsoft Reality. They're going PlayStation VR. And that's how you get exclusives without opening up your checkbook. That's why you don't have to buy studios. That's why you don't have to buy exclusives, because people come to you because you have a successful platform. Yeah. And that's the end of year talk. Like, that is it. Microsoft and the VR headset is a perfect example of what happens when you just throw shit against the wall. You don't support it yourself. Well, they made some sort of, they put Conquer in it. The motherfuckers, they put Conquer in that little Halo HoloLens.
Man, didn't they even do Conquer on what's that game that freaking closed it?
Project Spark. They got rid of that game too. God. But the thing is that that's the essence of this, of my whole channel. My whole thing is that you cannot keep getting hyped for hardware when Microsoft is not throwing software at it. And then you hear, well, they bought studios. It's coming. Why did it ever go away? Because they never stopped releasing hardware. They never stopped saying, guys, we're taking a year off Xbox right now while we make it. No, they kept trying to shove more hardware down your throat while you assumed they were making games. And now you found out this year they were not making games. Because I remember the talk you remember the talk a year ago in January. It was Fable, and it was like Microsoft's going to have a big E3. They're going to have all these games, right? They were going to have this big E3. That was,
and they showed a lot of great third-party games that are coming out, but you can play them anywhere on either console or PC.
It wasn't third-party games. People were talking game. Microsoft.
I'm sorry, multi-plats.
Remember, then now that they released the X, they're gonna do games now. Remember, last year.
It's the same narrative. Oh, now that we got Red Dead in 4K, going forward, all the games before.
No. It's all the developers' decision.
It's the developers.
I'm talking about a year ago. Right. After the X released, what was the narrative?
People thought the narrative was that they're gonna come back. You're gonna get games.
Now it's all about games now because we released the hardware.
It was all hardware talk. It was all hardware talk again.
And what happened in February when he talked Game Pass? Then it was all about.
The games they released have just been, like I said, mediocre until the end of the year, until we got freaking Horizon and everything that they've been releasing has been really lackluster. I'll say it's not been up to par.
Software with the hardware.
It's not what people go out and just rush out to buy. People were rushing out to buy Spider-Man. People were rushing out to buy God of War.
Well, that's what you do. People were rushing to buy the Switch. Know what MPD is going to look like in December?
Oh my gosh! For Smash Brothers, yeah. Microsoft has to create the games that people want to rush out and buy. I don't even think this year, or not this year.
But then the question is how you rush out and buy them when you could play them on Game Pass for $1,
exactly.
or you can play them on PC. That's the problem. They don't. Even if they make a game, you got to rush out and buy. By it being available everywhere, it's not going to drive the console.
Nope.
And the thing is why you want console being driven, because look what happens with the Switch. Look what happens with the PlayStation. People make games for your console when your console's selling. But if your console's not selling, people are not going to put your console as number one. You're not going to get those exclusives, those special things that Sony and Nintendo get. You know, look at it was the other world that you like, Octopath Travel on the Switch. You think if Switch, Frog, if you think the Switch was doing Wii U sales, Octopath will go to it.
No. That game would be right on PlayStation.
Yeah. The Wii U didn't get Octopath Travel. No, why? Because nobody was the Wii U was not selling. So developers said, I'm not putting my game on there. The market's not expanding.
Yeah, makes sense.
And the Switch is a perfect example of when your console sells, you get games made for that console. You don't have to go buy a deal. You don't have to go pay Square Enix to say, put this game on my platform. You don't have to do that.
Nope,
because people just come to you. They knock on your door and they go, they knock on your door and go, we want to put our game on your platform. Okay, sure.
And I'm happy that Red Dead looks the way it does on the X. It pushes Sony to tell third-party developers, hey, you got to kick it up a notch as much as you can and make. But there again, when you got games like Red Dead, but you got games on Sony's platform, the PlayStation, that look on par as good as a third-party developer like Red Dead. It's like God of War, arguably, is an amazing-looking game. Spider-Man looks good.
For the hardware.
Horizon Zero Dawn. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, yeah, they're games that aren't even their base console that are first-party look better than a lot of the first party or even third party games. So I think the talent is there. I'm hoping that Microsoft going forward with their next console has the talent to get great games. But I guess with this generation, I've been so winded just constantly talking about speculation with Xbox. I'm just like, man, everything is speculation, and I can't ever talk about just a game I actually want on Xbox. And then when I do, I'm like, I want this game. It comes out and it's lackluster. Because I wanted Sea of Thieves, and that came out, and I was like, this game is not that great. I was really disappointed, and I was gonna buy it day one. I was so excited. Screw Game Pass, I'm buying it day one. Then somebody's like, "Just try Game Pass." I tried it. I was like, "Thank God I didn't buy this game." Holy crap! Thank God I didn't buy freaking State of Decay 2. Holy crap! Because I played State of Decay. State of Decay. I played that State of Decay 2 for about probably a good couple hours, and I was like, "This game is horrible." It's just so poorly optimized. I was like, "What were they thinking to release this game? It's just not ready."
Yeah. That was the same glitches. I know, but well, again, it's speculation. I'm tired. It is just, I just, every time I'm like, I'm just done with it. It is what it is. They rebuild. Some shit surfaces up on Twitter. An Xbox exec, they trigger me so much because I don't think they're in a position right now to hype up something when they're still building. It's like, somebody under construction of the house and you got somebody in front of it going, it's going to be the biggest house, the best house. We're the best place. But your house is not built yet, man. Wait for lead with the games. All right. The gaming narrative. And that's what drives me crazy. It's like, you buy a gaming platform. I want to talk about the games. Yep. The service isn't great. Xbox Live was great and all that other stuff, but I didn't buy it for Xbox Live. I bought to play Halo on Xbox Live. The games let it. And, other two consoles are talking games. That's where my mind share is right now. Hopefully Microsoft talks about games some more. I don't know. People say there's years out from these devs are still trying to make games that they still promised third party, for other developers. So who knows when Microsoft's going to reap these benefits, but 2 years in gaming is a lifetime in technology. So
true.
Like I said, 2 years ago, what was Battle Royale? 2 years ago, what was Battle Royale?
Nobody was even thinking about it.
What was a Battle Royale 2 years ago? What was it? Exactly. So tell me that Microsoft will be ready in 2 years to give me the games that I want right now. Bullshit. No way. Microsoft will be ready to give you those games 2 years from now. Who knows what gaming looks like 2 years from now? We could have a whole clean slate of a new type of fighting genre, and fighting games change revolutionary. Who the hell knows? 4-person battle arena games could be the thing now, like a 4-person fighting battle games, like a Power Stone or something, could just hit the hot thing, just like Battle Royale did, and everybody's gonna be like, oh, what Microsoft gonna do? Studios, we bought you. You're working on this game for 3 years from now. Fix it, change it. Arena battling is the hot thing now. That's why you cannot have reliability thinking that far out. You got to look at the immediate stuff. And if Microsoft's not even showing it, you don't even know what's coming or where it's going to be. And that doubt, you got to sit here and think. You're really not in a position right now to be flaunting anything. Just chill out. Don't make fun of competition. Don't make fun of this. And I agree. Don't make fun of Xbox when they say they have no games. They got games. They got a powerful console. They had a good price this holiday. I'm sure they did well. And they're in a different realm right now. Microsoft's in a different realm. And they are in the PC and Xbox realm.
Yeah, they're not even in that console space to me.
They're not in the console space. So stop thinking these studios and this stuff is going to make Xbox the 360 again. The only way Xbox comes back as a 360 if Sony really just gives a big FU fingers on stage, but still they got the game. So I don't know what else they can do to really tarnish their reputation to make Xbox come back again, unless they just say $800 and Microsoft comes out and says our next gen is $300. People are going to $400.
It's really hard for them.
It's going to be hard.
Really messed up. Yeah,
because Microsoft gained so much traction, and that's the thing. They gained so much traction with the 360 and making themselves relevant in gaming and really up there with Sony. Because I remember when they first came in, people were like, oh, whatever.
Right. Nobody thought a Microsoft console would do well. And
oh my God, Socrates just says Nintendo took over SoldierBoy.com. It redirects to Nintendo now.
Oh yeah, I heard about that. He stopped doing the games. Yeah, he stopped. That whole story.
And that's protecting your IP, man. Nintendo.
They're about business. I mean, he's an idiot for even trying to do that.
Yeah.
You should have known.
And I tell you, Nintendo, man, the same thing. They respect. I just feel like Sony and Nintendo have some respect for their IP, and I wish Microsoft would show more respect for their IP more so.
Especially their previous existing IPs. Like
exactly, yeah.
There's so many they could have came back with. When, like I said, they had 90 exclusives.
Bill promised them when he came walking on, man. He's like, "Oh, Rare Replay." We thought that was gonna be the start of all these games, these IPs.
Yeah, I did. I'm not.
And I saw them in Killer Instinct. I was like, "Oh man, they're gonna be bringing back Battle." They're gonna. And what's Battletoads look like? Battletoads, we got a title screen.
I'm gonna tell you something funny. When I heard Killer Instinct was coming back, that's the reason I bought an Xbox One, because they were gonna bring back the titles and the games that I wanted, and I got Killer Instinct, and I play it all the time still to this day. But I'm just like, geez, man, it's just not what I thought.
Nope.
Not what I thought I'd.
And know what's interesting now? I see this video now going around. This video of them making fun of Phil Spencer and all that other stuff.
Oh yeah,
let's see now how we had the Ybarra tweet. That was a joke, all in good fun. Now the media is making a joke back. Anaconda don't want it from Polygon. Now they're making fun of Phil Spencer. That he's just kind of just this nice guy and just giving away. He wants to sell Xboxes. Let's see how people react to that one. But the thing is it's going to go back and forth. And that's why I say, too, like with Xbox One X owners, you going on Twitter and yelling and screaming, going, we got the best. Don't be – the reason why is that, when you dish it, you're going to have to take it. Mm-hmm. So get ready when the next generation PlayStation gets announced. Those guys are going to come right back at you with your tweets and making fun of your ex. All right? Just like – when we do talk about exclusives, if Microsoft has exclusives on Sony spots, it's going to go back the other way. Like, it's going to go back and forth. And the thing is the problem we always come in and talk about is that the direction of Microsoft is going, there's a hypocrisy within the organization itself and their messaging. And that's the biggest thing that it's not going after the people and their fans. Like, you can't yell at Cleveland Browns fans for liking the Cleveland Browns. They're going to like it. They grew up fans. Who the hell knows? You can't go at people for what they like. But I go at executives and Microsoft for sending mixed messaging out because it's confusing and it doesn't make sense. And that's where I don't like the hypocrisy of Microsoft, because I don't know where they're going right now. They are all over the place, and you cannot stay with confidence that you could buy the next gen console because you don't know where they're going to be. And that's a problem with them trying to sell new hardware. Where are you going to go? You don't know. Like, you're going to stay in line to buy a Scarlet when you can play the game on your phone? Is that the reality? Who knows? But the problem is that Microsoft is in a scramble mode right now, and the other two consoles, being traditional, are giving us games, and that's all I care about is playing the God of Wars, the Smash Brothers, the Zeldas, the Mario, all the stuff that they're delivering on, because it's about the games. I bought the hardware already. Now I should focus on the content. But Microsoft keeps showing me more and more hardware, and the content is not catching up with the hardware releases. And that's where I have a problem. And, that was the end of this. I was going to say, we've been talking. I'm going to lose my voice again this time. But we had, 20 so viewers. Thank you so much. Hit the like button, share it. This has been a year in review. Xbox Exec Talk, typical. Frogs, thank you for coming on for so long.
No problem.
I know we haven't talked in a while. So,
I've been busy, but I got some time to myself today.
Yeah, I'm going to play definitely some games now when you get back on, because I didn't know if I want to do this, but after just going through my Twitter interactions this morning and watching that stuff, I was like, I gotta talk. I can't. There's so much cooped up. Like, I'm just like, this has to be spoken about. And I'm glad you came on, because I want, and also too, it's gonna be New Year's Eve tomorrow. So, be safe, everybody out there, and do all the stuff. Hopefully, game and play some party games. That's another thing that I haven't seen a lot. Party games, like Jackbox party games, are fun. Dance, Just Dance and stuff like that. Like, that's another thing too. This entire generation has really got out of the whole like party game, like Rock Band stuff, like just that kind of like getting people around.
It's kind of been selfish. Is like, it's all about you, and it's just.
I know they tried doing Couch Co-op games, but that still hasn't had.
Few of those, very few.
Yeah, party games, man, haven't been really a big thing, because those are always great for New Year's, man. We've been doing Jackbox party games New Year's Eve when I hosted parties. Man, we did the Jackbox party. That was fun as hell, man. Just the stuff that people come up with. Like, that was a good time playing on those Jackbox games. Are fun.
Yeah, Jackbox games are really fun. They're really, really fun.
Yeah. Because it's all about the people, the sense of humor, like, what they're going to put as options and stuff like that. It's just, it is kind of cool. But yeah, like, have a safe one, Frog. I'll talk to you later. And I want to thank everybody for coming out. Sorry for some technical difficulties sharing screens and all that stuff, but I want to thank you guys. And have a happy New Year. And I'll be back on the other side, and hopefully back on playing Xbox. You hit me over there. With meds and stuff. Maybe they'll get the chemistry.
I'm looking forward to seeing the chemistry.
We'll see how it goes. Like, you got the Xbox, and we'll see how he goes. And I got the PC perspective with the Merc. And we'll see how it goes. Like, I'm sure Microsoft's not gonna start the year quiet. I'm sure they're gonna start with a bang. I bet you CES, that's coming up next. So maybe I'll talk about that on my next show with CES. But thank you guys for sticking in there. Like, share the video. Again, there's been Grinds My Gears and Frogs Dope Gaming. Follow Frogs over in his YouTube channel. How's your podcast? You've been busy, so you haven't done your podcast.
I've been busy. So next year I'm starting off really strong. I got a similar to but different format. I'm gonna try to do more stuff like weekly, like just and then the weekends I'm gonna take off. So I'm gonna try to do something every single day. Just, even if it's a little bit here and there, I'm gonna do something every day. Like, the big news of the day, gaming big news of the day. But I plan to do like some giveaways and things like that. I'm really interested to see how the people that are subscribed to me take to the podcast and the changes that I'm making. So hopefully it's good.
That's good. Well, lots of luck. You haven't need me jump on there.
Oh, most definitely.
But it's gonna be real interesting. I'm telling you, next year is gonna be crazy with Microsoft news and Sony not having an E3. So where they're gonna pop up, are they gonna do something? Oh, I wanted to say one thing. I didn't know. I wasn't getting predictions or anything, but and I think I said this when we were doing PlayStation Now. I think I was talking to you about it, going like, why is the PlayStation Now promotion ending end of September? Remember I was telling you that?
Mhm.
I was like, and that's when they announced about the download the PlayStation 4 games.
Right.
I'm thinking, this is my next speculation. I'm thinking something's going to happen in March, because March is when they're going to stop doing the 4 games for PlayStation Plus subscriptions.
Yep.
That's when they're going to do. March is when they're going to do just 2 PlayStation games. And I'm wondering if they're going to have, like, I just can't see them just dropping like Vita and PlayStation 3 off of PlayStation Plus and not having kind of some news or something to counter that, just drop off. Because people are going to think like, yo, I'm getting like less for what I'm paying for right now. Because so I'm thinking March time might be when they poke their head out. It's still within the fiscal year, and maybe they have a conference talking about their games and maybe the evolution of what PlayStation Plus is going to be. Maybe they offer like choose a game, or maybe they throw in game PlayStation Now with it. But I'm thinking March, because I remember they said March was the cutoff for when they were going to stop dropping Vita, and they're not supporting Vita and PlayStation 3. And likewise, when they added PlayStation 4 games to PlayStation Now was when they pulled everything off of the TVs and PlayStation 3 and the PlayStation Vita. So every time they have a shift in their kind of their store and their policies and stuff, they kind of have some news to counter that. So I'm thinking March is going to be when Sony either has some conference or talks about their game release lineup or something like that, but have something about PlayStation Now, because I can't see them just dropping 2 platforms off of that and just saying, unless they drop like God of War and like Spider-Man as their PlayStation Plus games in March.
Yeah, it'll have to be big.
Like there's gonna have to be something.
January is not looking too good for Gold or Live. I mean,
Gold.
So
either
one is really great.
Yeah, and I'm
I think Celeste is a really good one for Gold.
Celeste is good, for that one.
But PlayStation, I'm like, I don't care about that snowboarding game and the other game they have.
And it's overlapping too with Now. So like if you subscribe to Now, because now with the downloads and stuff, Now is really cool. They added like I think 28 or 30 games, and they're very small games, but they added tons of PlayStation 4 games to PlayStation Now in December to download. So the very small like mediocre games. Yeah. But it is some overlap. Like Steep was one of them a couple years ago, so I'm seeing some overlap. But yeah, Celeste is good for Xbox. Like I do like how Xbox does have the 2 and 2. You know what I mean? Now they threw in some Xbox original games in there. But we'll see. We'll see. I think March though is going to be some stuff going on. We'll definitely on the PlayStation with PlayStation Now, PlayStation Plus, because that's when it's ending. With the support of those 2 things. Maybe they announce the next Vita. Who the hell knows? Now we support the new Vita. I don't know, but I think they got to stay out of that mold. But the thing is you got to think Nintendo and Sony are going after, I think you said it all the time, Frog, the global market. Yes. That's the thing that people don't forget. They always talk about North America, but you got to look at the global market, and Japan and Nintendo and Sony Vita and the Switch are monstrous in Japan.
Yeah.
So they got to cater to that market as well. See, Microsoft doesn't really have a mobile platform. Nonetheless, really that kind of global, they like, I think Sony even made a point. They're like, well, we are the only place to have 3 studios in the 3 regions. Like we got Sony Japan, Europe, and America. Like nobody else has that. And I think that, Microsoft is very kind of North America focused, but Sony, just like that PlayStation TV, that was first launched in Japan. And then they brought it over here when they saw some interest, but it didn't sell over here. But that was big in Japan. So Sony has to do that, and that's another reason why you get a lot more games probably from Japanese publishers on the platform, because they're already launching it for Japan. Just put it on the North America one. Yes.
If it sells, it sells. If it doesn't, hey,
and that's something that Microsoft, I don't think, will ever gain. That's just That's just one of the benefits of being a Japanese console, and Nintendo and Sony having that thing. It's Microsoft's never going to be able to. They tried with the 360, but it is what it is. But it's a global world, so Sony might do a PlayStation Vita too. Who knows? Like I don't know. But anyway, I'm going to keep rambling on. I can't lose my voice again. I just got it back. Anyway, thank you again, everybody, for coming out. I know it was a long-winded close. Follow Frogs over on Twitter and on his YouTube channel. Follow me and stuff like that on YouTube. I go watch my stream of Impatient, where at 23 or 23 minutes, you'll see me scream like a girl and wave my hands in the air. And don't you think that my son, he come watch his YouTube, and he clicks on that one, and it's queued right up to that part, and he goes, he ran upstairs going, "Oh my God, what happened?" I'm like, you saw the worst part of that game, like when I jump scared. They have a guy jump in your face and scream at you, like in VR. Come on, you're jumping out of your seat. And I knew it was coming too. I was riding the whole time with my fake hands in front of my eyes.
You're like, it's coming.
It doesn't.
That's
yeah.
funny.
Anyway, thanks everybody for coming out, and I'll talk to you guys soon, and have a happy and safe New Year. See you.
Oh yeah, same
later.
Here, yeah.